Yes, welcome to game 2 of the Under-18 Marsh National Championships. I am Dylan Alexander and I am joined by Mr. Pom, the Pom-nado himself. How you doing, mate?
I can't wait for this. It's a second game. So this is where everyone's in their proper moves, isn't it, Dylan?
It really is. I mean, the national champs, I've said it a lot in my videos recently. This is kind of, as far as building the draft picture, building the rankings, this is what recruiters are going on the most out of anything because you have the most depth in the teams. You're up against the like types of your kind of physical capabilities, what you can do technically and all of those sorts of things, and you get to watch that all together. So it's very important. This particular game, I think, will be very interesting. I think both of these teams are a little bit unknown as far as some of their players. Big country, a couple of potential top teners in Willem Dersma, Josh Lindsay. WA have got a couple in the likes of like Fred Rodriguez, Curtin. But outside of those few big names, you could probably throw like a Noah Hibbins-Hargraves in there as well.
Have to have a hyphen.
Yeah, I think that, like for me at least anyway, particularly with the depth in the WA team, there's still a lot of learning to do.
There is, yeah, definitely. And this is probably where them types of players make a name for themselves. This is usually when we watch these games like last year, national champs is where you come from the heavens and you suddenly make a play. So there'll probably be potentially someone we're watching today, come draft time, is a top 30 that we maybe don't even have drafted at the minute.
100%. I'm kind of thinking from last year, a name that really surprised me when it got called out as highly as it did on draft night was Cody Angove.
Yeah.
And again, it's that type of player. It's like it's not an inside midfielder. It's not a key position player that you sort of historically expect to be at the top end of the draft. It's that kind of new, quick, pacey, skillful winger on the outside. And I think we'll get a few of those. Has anyone in the lead up to this for you from either team sort of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of an unknown sort of a player that people don't have their eye on that's kind of impressed you?
For WA, I like a little bit of Lachlan Carpenter.
Ooh.
So he was a late call up into this, captain of West Perth. Nice little kick, old school defender. They're the type of players that, if you watch my draft content, I like an obscure defender. I remember the Alex Tyree debate.
Yeah,
I was against Alex Tyree because I like my defenders to defend, not be sexy.
Yes.
Carpenter I can see Carpenter being a 200 gamer, stalwart, like Sam Frost type player.
But you're saying at the same time he is pretty good on the ball.
He's pretty good with the ball in hand, but you can see he prioritizes defense first.
Yes.
And I like that. If I was a draftee, that's someone that I'm looking for if I was a recruiter, someone that I know is going to dig deep, do his job, work hard. I like a little bit of leadership as well. I'm a sucker when I see leadership group 18 years old.
I like that. There's a player that a lot of people have been talking about in the lead up to this that maybe, I don't know, the average draft watcher wouldn't know, and that is Jacob Farrow, 189 centimetres, kind of being compared to like a Hayden Young type sort of running halfback that has that potential to go into the midfield. I'm pretty excited to see him. The other probably like talking point between these two teams is that midfield battle where you've got like Van Rooyen's going to be rucking for WA, Fred Rodriguez, Toby Wan, Sam Swaddling. They've all been racking up massive numbers. You've got them up against Vic Country, the likes of Dersma, Josh Lindsay. If he does play midfield, I'll be interested to watch what happens there. You've got Hunter Wright as well, Captain Bendigo in the mix. Who do you think has the stronger midfield of the two teams?
It's tough. You can't go beyond Vic Country, though, because when you look at Vic Country, like half of that list across its half back line and half forward can swing in. They've got so many points of difference. Accumulators.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like they've got that guy, with all due respect to them at this stage, who's going to turn a game.
Yep.
Feels like it could be one of them games where we see 90 touches in the midfield from 3 players, but then we don't really see any output from them. But when you look at the depth of Vic Country, it's hard to look past, isn't it? Like, especially my boy, underage.
What a star.
And he's got that POD that we like.
I reckon in this country team, like he could be the most exciting prospect to watch. Just has that perfect balance from a midfield perspective, the perfect balance of like being able to rack up the numbers, that running ability, and then to be able to hurt you with the ball, particularly. Just back on that here, that the teams are coming up here on the screen as we speak. So we're about to get underway. Onto that sort of midfield conversation that you said with the WA guys that kind of can rack up the ball but not necessarily hurt you. I feel like potentially at this level, just that field position that they're going to get from that midfield dominance, if they can, win the fight around the ball. I do feel like those Vic Country mids are a little bit more like good on the eye, but not necessarily sort of like the in and under doing the hard work. I feel like WA could kind of smother them there a little bit, get the ball in quickly, and then they've got weapons in the forward half. Cody Curtin. Who's their forward? I've just got his name on the tip of my tongue. Charlie Watson, another 199 centimetre player. They probably don't have the defensive weapons to be able to go with the height of those players, and that could sort of smother them.
The WA boys genuinely are quite tall. Like it's one of these fascinating things when you watch this level of football. Western Australians really prioritise that ball use. They're a nice ball using side. If you watch the waffle, every team, even the B graders, can kick and hit a target, and they seem to grow massive men. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're wheat bix. A different recipe.
I was thinking the same thing. Like their back line, Lucas Catalini's 192. Even their sort of running defenders are all pushing 190. You got Carpenter, like you mentioned, as a key, 194. Max Thomas is 188. Farrow's 189. So it's a big Becker 188 from Pil Thunder as well. So a big sort of like running defensive line for sure. The mids are big too, like Swaddling 190. Toby One's like mid 180s as well. So
yeah, I mean, they've got Benji as well, haven't they?
Benji
Van Ruin, who's he's 16, turning 17 at the end of this year, and he's 202 centimeters already.
And plus, like Cody Curtin's an absolute lump of a man too. Like he's not just tall; he's also physically built.
As a dad, when I look at the size of Benji at 16, it concerns me. Can you imagine telling him off at 16 when he's like 10 centimeters taller than you?
100%.
There is quite a lot to look out for as well. If you are a WA fan, Eagles fan, you've got Tyler Williams playing today, Heath Melody, Banfield, all available for selection. Toby Wan, we've mentioned, Freo. And they've got Mitch Stevens, if you're a South Australian. The Vic Country, Adelaide, father-son.
He's doing really well. And a nice type as well. Again, like that running defender, hybrid, can play tall, small, can rack up the footy, can hurt you offensively as well. So
he's a proper Crows player.
He so is, isn't he?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like he's exactly what they would draft as well.
He's a bit of a Max Michelini clone, I would say, which is certainly not a bad thing, but just that really contested, hard type. I think we are about to get underway. I can see Dersma in the middle for Vic Country, which I'm excited about. I was glad they didn't play him like off a wing. Who else is in there?
Got a nice little. He stands out, doesn't he, with his hair? We just need to see the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's on the left.
So that's like Onley left.
Yep. And that's Hunt. Is that Hunter Wright on the? Looks like
is it Zach Harden in the ruck?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's Harding.
Nice little stoppage. We got the start, free kick.
Does.
Here we are. This is probably his question mark, isn't it? His damage with his kick. That's what people complain about, his ball use, which I find fascinating because from watching the draft, I think every midfielder now is the same.
Miller. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. This draft particularly, it's difficult to find those mids that are also like really good with the ball in hand. I think like that's why I've probably gravitated towards players like Sam Grill, Rory Wright from the Sandringham Dragons, those guys that can actually use the footy in congestion. Dersma getting busy early here.
A lot of hype as well from Noah Hibbins-Hargrave. He's someone who's had a good start to his Dandenong career. And I've seen a lot of mock drafts having him shooting from outside the top 20 to some have got them in that 10 position. So he's that modern day footballer, isn't he? That guy who can swing in the midfield, play across half forward.
And doesn't necessarily, like, here's Rodriguez, clearance. It doesn't necessarily have to get the ball on the inside to hurt you. And I think that's a big weapon, players that can play outside of the contest, because when they first come into AFL, that's what they're really going to have to do ultimately. He goes Curtin. Oh, he's turned him.
Tell you what, Cody Curtin. Cody Curtin looks like, the best way to describe him is if Darcy Fogarty had a kid with Riley Thilthorpe. He's built like an ox.
Massively. He's more got, I think, like his agility is more Riley Thilthorpe. Like it's a big turning circle.
Yeah. But he's got that real craft, hasn't he? He's got that real.
He does.
He loves that block.
Do you see any issues with him going forward, like just with mobility being that size and sort of like there? He looked a little bit once he turned his opponent really craftily, and then didn't sort of have that end product with the agility.
It'd be interesting how he goes in this year, because generally you see quite a lot of development from them in a physicality sense towards the end of the year as the training ramps up.
Sure.
So I feel like a lot of that's puppy fat. I think in an AFL system, a lot of that will turn into lean muscle.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely some puppy fat going on with Cody Curtin for sure.
You know what? Max Lee there, just nice little touches, reminds me of an old school Sam Doherty, does Max Lee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
He gets his head under the bar. He likes the scrap. Dandenong boys are built just a bit different for those watching at home. You can see they play a little rough and tough.
They do, don't they? They always have this like extra bit of physicality. I remember going to some of the games last year and going with my wife Vika, and like she actually even mentioned that. She's like, these are tough guys.
Yeah, if someone owed you money, you'd definitely get a nice Dandenong Stingray by. See number 11 there as well. If you are a Bombers man, one of your links, Toby Cinema.
Yes, I like Toby Cinema.
He's definitely one of the guys to just watch out for, because he's got all the skills. Just needs to put it together as the ball comes in.
Both teams just struggling to find the ball at ground level inside 50. Here we go. Is that Mukunda?
To be fair, the field isn't great.
No, there's a huge shadow cast in that big country forward line. I don't know about you, Pommy, but these games start and there's like a calibration going on in my head, because I'm used to seeing these guys in their. Oh, that was Tari on Armu. Grab the ball out of the ruck there. There's a calibration going on inside your brain because you're used to seeing these guys in their talent league numbers and their state league numbers, and you have to kind of readjust.
It's weird when you watch their state league when they're playing in their normal games as well. The disparity between the good players and the rubbish players makes you easily to be able to identify them.
Yes.
When everyone's about the same talent, you are now going off a bad camera angle and glancing and learning numbers quickly.
100%.
You know what? Zach Harding's not getting much love.
I love Zach Harding.
And I think, of all the rooks in there, you've obviously got Big Cooper, who is head and shoulders above the rest. But Zach Harding does scream ruckman taken, pick 55.
Yep.
That becomes the best ruckman. There's a great mark there by Harry Dean. This guy is...
Talk to us about Harry Dean.
Look at he's kicking as well.
Ooh.
This guy hits targets. Tell you what I love about Harry Dean, modern day key defender, plays in front, never plays behind his man. And I think that's a huge part as Dersma turns it over in a dangerous position.
Yeah, there's that kicking.
But yeah, Harry Dean, Carlton fans being kissed on the proverbial there, because him and O'Farrell, that is a generational defending line.
100%. And you guys have got a couple of other good ones coming through, not necessarily in this game, but Jack Ison in the Vic Metro program playing tomorrow. Yeah. You've also, as you mentioned, Cody Walker coming the year after. You've got Bresh as well. Yes, you got a couple, not necessarily like really flag blues. 2026. Bit of dangerous. The one player for Big Country that just keeps being around the ball at the moment for me is Mukunda.
He finds the ball a lot.
Yeah.
You can see here that the difference in styles, Big Country really trying to go through the corridor, play on quick, manic, which plays to their skill sets. Where you can see a little bit more measured from WA. Oh, gosh. Curtains kicking.
Is that Mukunda? No, it's not. Who was that?
That was Callum Smith.
It was Callum Smith. He's a good, solid midfielder as well, like tall. Rodriguez.
There he is. Look at Rodriguez. He is a highlight reel. What a goal. An absolute highlight reel, that guy. That guy is capable of the spectacular.
That was a nice finish. I was about to say he kind of fumbled the ball on first take, but definitely mocked up the work. Great finish. I worry about Rodriguez, like that kicking style. It's a Brian Myers-y kicking style. How he sort of he almost rotates the ball down, and it gets sort of like a loft on it, which is really interesting to me. It doesn't look natural, but it's very effective.
He's got a little bit of a, without disparaging him, he's got a bit of terror about him. I feel like when I watched Cherry in his draft year, that was like probably the first draft I really got into. Where I look at him, I feel like I don't know if he's going to be like that attacking midfielder, a defensive midfielder, one that pinch hits forward and kicks goals. It feels like in a minute he's got the ability to do all. I'd like to see him just lock down the position.
Yeah. He's got a nice bit of physicality to him. He's got that little bit of a burst too. I'd say like maybe something that he's got on Chera is having like a little bit of extra speed and size. But like I'm still 50-50 on the ball use though. Some people think he's a great user. I'm not 100% sure. That was a great goal.
I do feel though that a lot's overrated about ball use when you watch how some of them play. Like big countries very get the game moving forward quickly, so they're playing territory. They're not playing.
Yeah.
WA.
I guess that's the way where you've got to look at that. If they're playing like that at this level, the territory game, but you got to look at like how AFL's going. Presently, it looks like ball use is a premium at the top level at the moment.
Oh, 100%. I think depending on what position they are, I think like Sid Draper, my boy from last year, he was guilty sometimes of a blaze.
Oh, yeah.
But that type of play, you can get away with it. I'd be more worried with like a Fred Rodriguez, a Will Dersmer. They're going to be guys that are going to get the ball on the outside and hurt you. And if they're going at low percentages, if you're a Carlton fan, you know what I'm talking about. If your players on the outside are going at 30%, it's GG's. Thanks very much.
Speaking of good ball users, Josh Lindsay just getting on the ball there at half back. He looks like he is playing that position too. He hasn't come into the midfield for this game.
Yeah, and like all Lindsay's, all similar traits in the last couple of years. Great runner, speed. You know what I like about Josh Lindsay is, like you see with that kick there, his ability to dictate play. I feel like that is, from halfback, I think it's the most underrated position in today's AFL.
Totally.
You can control the game from halfback.
Well, I feel he's a bit of like not a modern day version. That's probably not the right way to put it, but a less like he's shorter in stature, maybe less physical. But he reminds me of his movement and how he does dictate play, similar to a Scott Pendlebury.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, he's got that control at this level. He feels like everything is his.
Down.
Yeah. I mean, everything is his. We're playing at his speed. Geelong Falcons boys, for some reason, them Falcons, they make intelligent footballers.
Yeah, they do. Something in the program for sure. We've got a few comments coming through. Braden Crocker says, who's the uncommon names that we should watch out for? I think we've touched on a few, haven't we, as we've gone along?
Yeah, 100%. We watch their backline at Western Australia as well. I always watch the backmen because I feel that they have some great backmeners. Will Milady, great name, sounds like something from Mary Poppins.
It is a good name. I've actually watched him a little bit. Plays for Scotch College in the APS.
Yeah.
Bottom major. Is he attached to a club, maybe?
So I'm not too sure. I don't think he is an NGA or
I might have got him confused. He's a bottom major.
But yeah, 17 years old.
Medium forward, that 180, high 180s sort of height. And yeah, just very, very mercurial. Just things happen when the ball comes into his area, wins contest, playing with the older age.
He's Ben Brown too, playing that.
Yeah.
If you watch his technique, he's got, it's like half the length of Ben Brown.
Yeah.
He does the same mannerisms. He's got the rocking motion.
He does.
Very nice set shot, very reliable. I reckon he'll be someone that next year will grow 5-6 centimetres, and we're talking about key position.
Talking to key position, yeah.
Got a bit of Camden about him.
There's a lot like that. I don't know if you caught much of the South Australia Allies game last week.
Yeah.
Mitch Marsh. Massive Cadman vibes from him. The way that he kicked footy, the left foot kick, he sort of that. Again, like, he's not quite key position height, but you could see if you put on a couple of extra centimetres, he's sort of pushing that level.
Yeah, I got the review out a bit late for that game, but I'm disappointed in all the other fellow draft experts because my boy Dyson is getting no love.
You were big on Dyson from that game?
Yeah, I don't know why no one likes him.
Really?
He keeps sliding down.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Dyson.
It's proper South Australian anti-bias creeping into
You
the
reckon?
AFL, and I'm bringing it. I'm stopping it.
You're stopping it.
Hey, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like that the modern game is looking for those like really high end ball users. I feel like with ball in hand, like, good skills wise, Dyson Sharp just probably doesn't. He's more that sort of, I guess, like if you wanted an AFL example, I feel like he's like a Tom Green, but probably doesn't quite have the high end inside skills of Tom Green for me.
yeah, I mean, what I like is how strong he is just
Yeah.
defensively. Like, strong in defence. He's really a thug in that midfield.
Yeah.
I think the modern day way to play is we're going to start seeing Patrick Cripps.
Oh,
Patrick Cripps style players with the pace. That's the next evolution. You know, we're always looking for that next evolution.
Yep.
I reckon the next in vogue thing is quick hard heads.
oh yeah. Like I think that the player that everyone's looking for, right, is like that Harley Reid, like with the top end picks. You want that forward mid hybrid, has height, has physicality, has speed, but also has good skills as well. I feel like Reid, Lawler, Paul Francis in the last few drafts have kind of been that player. I just don't feel like we have that player in this draft. So
on the boy Lachlan Carpenter just delivered the bullet out of the back line.
here goes Mukunda on the ball again. He's hit a target inside forward 50.
Great. That is a great kick. He's had a lot of the ball, like you say earlier, Mukunda. He has been in just about everything. But here you are. Check this out. Look, Ben Brown 2.0. Look, he does everything like Ben Brown. He scratches the surface, right? And he walks back nonchalantly, and he'll do a little ball rock.
He's counting his steps, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll do a little ball rock. Look, right, so here we are. Look, get rid of the ball rock. See, look, here it is. Look. He literally kicks like on AFL 26. They look very slow, purposeful. Really gets through the ball as well. Thank you very much. One to watch for 2026, that one. He is.
Well done.
You know what's weird is people are talking about, and I do want to talk about this with you because I know you're big on this, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's talking about the compromised draft. I feel like Big Pomco.
Okay.
Big Pomco. I think this is the draft to attack. I feel like because it's so compromised, a lot of teams are going to trade out. There's so many big targets. If you are a team that's stuck in list purgatory, I feel like this is the draft where I am sending everyone down to these types of games and going, if I can get picks 15 to 30, I can refresh my list at discount prices.
100%, because every draft, I wanted to do something around this as well, because regardless of whether a draft is considered like good or poor or whatever, that really only pertains to the top 10 picks, whether we consider it, like we go through and we go, oh yeah, this one's got Chris Judd, Luke Hodge, whatever, Luke Ball, it's a super draft, blah, blah, blah. They all have a similar amount of gems in the back end. So if you get a bit of capital in this draft, in a draft where probably a lot of teams have their eyes closed, like you said, because of the compromisation, even like the Tassie thing coming in, like that lingering threat, I think teams are looking to sort of like push away from drafts and go to free agency a bit more. I think there's going to be heaps of gems in this draft. And I still think it's underratedly strong, this draft, just given how people are talking about it.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. As two NGA father sons from Harry Dean and Stevens, the boys. But I agree with you. I mean, I think if you've got a team, if you're a team, if this sounds like your team, you have a boatload of midfielders. They're all the same. You've got one end covered, but you're looking for them little PODs in the midfield, but you're also looking at small forwards, halfbacks, Nick Austin, Nick Agresta at Carlton, if you're listening. This is the draft you could attack because you are going to get them points of difference around the ground. I think when people say this is a pro draft, it's mainly the inside midfielders, the superstars of the competition.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot of gems if you covered that and you're looking for the diamond in the rough like mid.
I think as well in that conversation, like, you might not get the complete, like at the moment, like the completely well-rounded mid or whatever position it is, but there's enough guys in there that are going to come through. Like you look at like that 2020 draft, think about that, and someone like a Max Holmes who was picked 20 in that draft. wasn't the complete package at the time. But if you put some work into him, you put the development into him, there's still some stars here with what they can do, athletically and have that drive to be able to go to the next level for sure.
I agree. And you saw there the best name, number 12 for WA, Wesley Wally.
What a name. I haven't seen him too much in this game as he comes on screen there. He looks a potential with his hybrid nature, his aerial skills with kicking that he's got. Like he looks like he could be at the upper end, like an Isaac Rankin type.
Ooh.
Maybe a Timu. What would you call? Who was that? Who were you calling it?
Timu Rankin.
Yeah, who was that?
Who was I calling?
That was in the mid.
Oh, it was Jacob Newton.
Oh, it was too.
And yeah, Eagles stolen.
Yeah.
I'm breaking.
Were you okay with that in the end? Or?
I was, yeah. I was okay. But I get over drafts quite quickly.
Yeah.
I'll be sad when Jacob Newton this weekend kicks 7 versus Richmond. That's when I'll start being sad.
He'll be the best mid-season draftee of all time, and you've missed him.
When he becomes a superstar, I'll remember. Tell you what, the big rooks are really standing out up at Vic Country. Armu and Harden, they have really imposed themselves. Armu reminds me of a likeable Darcy. Fremantle.
Oh yes, yeah. I thought you meant Sam Darcy then for a second. I'm like, no, spot on. They're tough players to read in a draft. I feel that like really thick set body like that has size, has power, height. I feel like you don't really know what can carry to the next level because of the strength. Like he's still a very highly skilled player. You don't want to write him off.
Ooh, dangerous kick. And tell you what, everyone's trying to do something. Max Lee tries his best to make it look good. And Harry Dean's going to goal line stay. Oh, Harry.
That was very Carlton.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He's been infected.
He hasn't even signed for us. He hasn't even signed for us. He's already got the fumbles. Mistake.
You can tell some of these players already are like you can tell that the occasion is there, right?
Yeah,
and just that little extra bit of pace.
I don't think I've seen Harry Dean still and uncontested.
He wouldn't do that at Coates League level, for sure. And then even Wally, I think Wally had more time to finish that. There's definitely some like you can see that quality that Vic Country had, like coming out the other side there. They had Josh Lindsay involved. They had even Hargraves got on the ball for the first time. Lindsay's probably for me, of all of those top end guys that aren't attached to clubs and whatnot, he's probably just about the safest pick.
Yeah, he's ready made.
Yeah.
He's got Rising Star nomination by round 3 written all over him.
Yes. Bit of the Harry Cheezels coming into the AFL and just being able to rack up 30. Like if you're a fantasy coach,
he's got fantasy. He's got a pig written all over him. And he gets in these positions here. You can see he just makes himself available. He finds space in a crowded elevator.
Ooh,
that's a horrible kick. And there's a chance here. It opens up.
Swatty.
And the swab dog.
This is actually a funny story, but I was watching Hayden Narducci from the Footy Yards awesome episode yesterday. And Swaddling, they were joking in the episode that Swaddling, I think he's kicked 1 goal 7 for the season.
Kicking like that, you can see why.
Yeah. And then he got kicked out of pig really early on. So he can rack up the pill, but needs to work on that finishing in front of goal when he gets opportunities.
You know what, there is a big Darcy Sarzeesen, nice South African name, but starting to get a little bit involved at centre halfback as Gray.
Is that a South African name?
I think it is.
I thought it was
like correctors in common.
We'll get on it because I thought it was Hungarian. It looks like a Hungarian name to me. Yeah. We might have to do a check on that, Pom.
Hey, fact check, Pom. But here we are. Toby, the big Essendon prospect here, has a great passenger play. That's Vic Country at its finest. That's the DNA of country football there.
Beautiful user. For sure. On the left. Oh!
You know who Toby reminds me of? If you're an Essendon fan, Toby reminds me a little bit like baby Zach Merritt.
Yeah, I like that.
Like he's going to be a slow burn, but once he hits his straps and he tidies a few things up, he'll be a very, very accomplished footballer. I feel like Zach Merritt came from nowhere
Yeah,
in the AFL, like, with love from the AFL fraternity.
I think similar skill set too. Like, really good. Like, that doesn't have that much, physiology to his game. He's not a big body or anything. Hasn't got a heap of athleticism. Really tidy skills. It'll just translate pretty well to the AFL level. We'll just need a bit of time to get everything up to speed. Who's got that?
Tell you what,
That's Harding.
Another good grab. Harding works really hard, and they're
He
massively
does.
out on the right. Riley Onley, he hasn't been amazing, but he has found the ball. Not really impacting as much as he usually does.
Only he's another one of those guys to me that, like a big physical presence at the stoppage, and there's a lot of them in this draft to me, but just doesn't have the ball use and the skills
Yeah,
to be in that pushing that top echelon.
yeah. I mean, it's a funny one because if you were like judging who's really stood out like in this game, like obviously your mate Lindsay has been good, but I mean, you'd probably say the next best would be probably who was the guy we were talking about? The big
Melody.
Mikunda. It was
Mikunda, yeah,
he's in and about everywhere.
He's probably faded a little bit in the last, like, later on, but he started hot, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been really up and involved.
I really like Harding's game.
Tell you what, Bursma, if he could just get that first kick away, we would be talking about runaway pick one.
I totally agree with you on Dersma, though. There's like everything's there. Like, he's one of the cleanest handlers in the draft crop. He can hit it at pace, never double touches the ball, and looks pretty clean on the outside as well with his skills, and obviously like that body shape and his athleticism. That's a goal.
What an effort.
Who kicked that? I've completely missed that, talking about Dersma. Callum Smith.
We talked about him a little bit earlier, the old Dandenong boy.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Smitty? Isn't he a grandson of like a Kevin Bartlett or somebody?
Yeah, he's got one of them rich. She's got.
Yeah. I don't think he's like father son or anything.
He's not eligible, no, but he's what everyone drafts in the second round. You know, that hard-edged, hard two-way runner. He gets involved in everything, works up and down the ground, links up. Fantastic to watch.
Yeah, 100%. What I was just saying on Dersman before, I still can't shake this feeling that taking him like sort of top five, like you feel like there's some risk.
I think there's an element as the first quarter goes with risk at the minute in most people's top 10.
Yeah.
Like Dersma reminds me a little bit like Paddy Dow. And I love Paddy Dow. I'm a Paddy Dow lover.
When you say reminds you, not how they play.
Not how they play, but in how they can work out long term. They've got all this talent. It's how you develop it. So with Dersma, if Dersma went to WA, a team that really prides itself on ball use and precision, I can see Dersma becoming a superstar. If Dersma goes to a club, Cowton, someone like that, I can see him being a bust.
Right.
That doesn't have that natural good skill set to complement his. I feel like he'd have to go to a team that's going to complement his array of football. And I feel like Dersma, if he went to Eagles, even your team, I know you'd hate him because you've got so many of them playing. A place where they're going to reward him, get him on the outside, getting him involved and not in contest.
Yeah.
Waiting 2 years and then coming onto the ball. Like Richmond, what Richmond are doing with their draftees, keep them on the outside, keep them away from the grime, look on the skills. I feel like Dersma will be a superstar.
I feel like there's an element too with Ders where you like if he doesn't become that at AFL level, like he can't become that sort of like inside contested mid Will Day-esque type player. I feel like you are still like you're drafting an outside player that isn't necessarily the best outside player you could draft either.
Yeah,
So he sort of has to push that next level.
it's fascinating that in today's game, halfback, wing, and small forward are probably the three most important positions in an AFL list. And we haven't seen that reflect in its draft pricing.
No.
So people are like, if you are a tough inside bull, you are 100% going to go higher
Yes.
than a glitzy halfback.
Do you think that's so partly like I think there is an element of the people being a bit like the recruiters being a bit archaic in their thinking, like it needs to be a mid, but also they do like that flexibility.
I think it's probably safer, isn't it? Like we said it off camera. If you get a midfielder, he can fail and become a halfback,
Yes.
a wing,
Yeah.
a half forward, a small forward, something like that. Where if they're a ruckman, they can only be a ruck or a forward.
Yes.
If they're a half forward, they can only be a forward. So, if I was literally if I was a list manager, I'd be just. I always say this: price is respective of your list.
Yeah.
So taking a half flank.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes, it might be stupid if there is a glitzy on baller, but if you need a glitzy halfback and you win a flag in 5 years' time, pick eight's a bargain.
100%.
So I feel like sometimes list managers don't back themselves.
You're right. They come into every draft almost, it feels like at a reset, and they're like, I just need to find the most valuable player in this draft. And then it leaves your club. It ends up leaving your club with like too many players in a certain position potentially. Like if you're just taking what you see as like the best player or the most valuable player, like North, yeah. And then you end up devaluing all of the players because they're not playing anyway, which is the catch-22.
And I think we also, like, Kai makes a great point. NFL, very similar. Do you know what I mean? Quarterbacks, like 10 years ago, you're back in that draft, quarterbacks had to go top 5. Now you're starting to see running backs, other players instantly go top 5. It's becoming the best player of the position.
Definitely. There's definitely those like peaks and troughs, right, around like the different types of players. That's why I think, back on that conversation about Dyson Sharp, I think Riley Onley's another one. You could potentially say Sam Swadling's in the same boat as well. There's definitely the way the game is going at the moment, the way that it's being played. There's a premium on ball use by foot, for sure. And that's where I do. That's like the reason, if you wanted to put a reason on it, why I feel those guys are sliding a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm a big believer of like intrinsic learning at football clubs and in sport, that you reflect what other people around you do. So,
yes,
an example of that is with Carlton. You look at all their big mids; they are flingers of the ball on their boot.
Yep.
So when you're a young player, you're instantly going to learn what you see every day at training.
Yeah.
Right. So the only way you change that is you've got to bring something opposite in there. So, like,
the flip of what you're saying, right, is Collingwood, who seem to have all of their players are very high IQ. I call them like a cerebral team, like of players. Now, all of their players seem to be like very modular, very versatile, and smart footballers first and foremost, and they all use the ball really well by foot. And you're saying that sort of you recruit players in, and because of having that,
you've got to change that DNA, that ethos. So, like I think like Woody asked a great question: who would St Kilda take if they had a top 3 pick? Dersma works perfectly for Saints because they've got heavy onus on outside run. They do value basic talent as well, basic skills. So if you watch like Ross's team, they're very disciplined at hitting 10-meter targets, hitting the handball. So he would be perfect because he would be there for 2 years under Ross. And Ross
now that you actually say that, he's got some similarities to Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller. Just the build. He doesn't use the ball as well, for sure, by foot as Nasiah does. So it's not a perfect comparison, but there are some, like just the physiologically similar build and that sort of, wiry, lanky kind of build.
I think that's a great call by you. Nas, though, he was guilty of blazing it when he was junior. I was huge on the Nas dog.
That's the thing I think people forget too with kicking. There's technical kicking skills. There's being a good kick. And there's also decision-making built into that, right?
Yeah, well, I always say this. To be playing at this level, you can kick a football.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like these guys aren't new to it. I think it's about honing that talent. And I think a lot of it is decision-making. Like with Will Dersma, my question on him in the seniors is when he's not getting the ball 30 times and it's 10, 11, 12, 13, how does his ball use become then?
A
When he's
weapon.
gonna be, he needs to be able to hone that. And a good club will do it. Grittier, my boy. How's Mitch Stevens? He's been active.
Grittier. I was waiting for it.
Hey, big Adelaide boy he is. He's not gone right, his old Mitchie.
Yep.
We just talked about him at the start of the show. He is like a clone of every Adelaide player. If you had to build an Adelaide player,
He's it.
Steve's is it.
That's what they might have done. They might have gone to a lab.
I always say Geelong have gone to the lab. They've all got long blonde hair.
I was about to say, who's that player? It was bloody Josh Lindsay again. Oh,
Look at the little afterburners. Oh, that's just a clever little handball.
was that Onley?
Yeah, it was Onley.
That was good pace.
That was Onley who just turned on the afterburners.
Got a bit of explosiveness.
And a little bit of a handball. And I tell you what, we were talking about Marlon at the start. There was a debate on what number it is. We guessed it was 9, and he is. And good goal from Marlon. Another underager, one to watch out for.
Yes, absolutely.
He's got a little bit of picket about him.
Yeah. Very
Marlon.
diminutive build, very stocky. Like noticeably when you see him on the field, I watched him in the trials, and just like big. What are the muscles there? Like where your thighs are? Quads. Yeah, big, enormous quads at his age. Crazy.
I can see you can see a re-signing as well with Marlon because he's got Neo in his name.
Yeah,
Do like a Matrix style.
Oh yeah, be a good reveal.
Yeah, you can see it.
Here we go. So Vic Country are breaking away. Can't say I expected this. I'd have to say at the moment, where are the Western Australian mids?
Yeah, but they're getting dominated, and you can see there. Like, I've also noticed they've really resorted to blazing it in. Harry Dean's having a whale of a time at centre half.
To be fair, that's exactly what we said. I just thought the WA forwards would give them a bit more when they did bomb it in.
And there's Mitch, great little kick down the wing.
Harding's having a fantastic game.
You know what? He's an intriguing ruck prospect. Is Zach? He doesn't get any glitz of glamour. I know, and it's going to be funny if you are looking for a ruckman. This year is the year to buy a ruckman in the draft because everyone's going to look at Cooper.
He's just that guy that comes in, does a bit of a Tristan Cherry, but with more success to the team, no doubt, because Tristan Cherry went to North Melbourne. But like that guy that kind of comes out of nowhere, just becomes a number one ruck at a good AFL team, and you win a premiership, and everyone will go like, "Oh, how do they do it with this guy?"
Yeah, and I always think when there's an obscure position that's top 5, so like a ruck, key forward, key defender, everyone focuses on that. Like if AFL traditionally will just ignore now every other ruckman. If Cooper's the best, they're going to be like, okay, cool, Zach Harding, not a patch on Cooper. This is where you can get a bargain. I could see Zach falling to pick 60.
Well, look at the rucks last year in the draft. Like I think the first one was maybe Logan Smith, who went in the 60s. And then you had these sort of like what we consider to be like highly talented rucks like Dodson. He went like really late in that national draft.
It's fascinating. Wesley Wally as well there. The Shy Bolton clone.
Yeah, I like that. What do I call him? Isaac Rankin before. But
we've proper hyped Wes up now. Like,
we've given some serious comparisons there.
If he's not 300 games and won 4 Norms oh yeah, no pressure, lad. Go out there. But
he's not kicking the ball as well as I would have thought. Like even that kick, it was a good decision, but it was a weird, funny little dinky kick.
To be fair though, he's one of them players that is definitely one way.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is probably the first shot goal the WA boys have had since 16-22 that goes wide.
So who took that? Was that Watson?
Yeah.
Got a big kick on him. Big boy, 199 centimetres. Josh Lindsay is dominating possession of the ball at the moment. I think he's had double the amount of touches as everybody else. That stood out. Like Big Country's ball use tempo has been really, really good.
It's very modern day.
Yes.
Which I know some people in my chat hate when I'm saying modern day.
Why is that?
Just because I use it a lot. I use modern day style of football quite a lot.
Okay. What, like, so that when you say they don't like it, they just don't like you referring to everything like that? Okay.
It's how I put Carlton down all the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What'd you call? I remember what you called them to me, like a 1950s something reference, like a 1950s something you'd find in a grandma's cupboard. Is
Yeah,
that Carlton?
that's it. You know, it's got the sentimental value. You're really
Yeah.
excited about it, but it's completely impractical.
Yeah.
It's really interesting here that WA obviously got a spray. They're starting to get a lot of the ball, really
Yeah.
using.
Here's Wally.
Tell you what, they're using Heath quite a lot as well. Heath Melody.
I was gonna say, yeah.
He's really getting involved, gone out to the wing, and he's really finding the ball. And here is Shy Bolton slash Isaac Rankin.
Timu. We're having some audio problems, are we? Yeah, okay. Go a little closer. Yeah, Melody, I'm getting vibes watching him run up and down that wing of a Cody Engove of last year.
Oh, don't mind that from you. He kicks like Shy Bolton as well. That's early Shy Bolton.
Yeah, there's a lot, like, I don't know, he doesn't seem to be able to get the revolutions on the ball at the moment.
Real exciting talent though. One of them players that he's going to be that. I keep using this C word a lot, conduit. I think a lot of teams have it, and the ones that don't have it, you've only got to look at their efficiency inside 50. It's a real key position that I don't think many clubs have drafted deliberately.
Yep.
But have accidentally got it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I think that's like that type of player too. You're not really drafting the position; you're more drafting the talent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can sort of like fit them in later.
Jesse Mellor from Tyler. He's been a bit quiet as the Watchalong boy, but to be fair, I feel like this game's starting to open up now, so that probably suits Mellor's game a little bit more. It's been very congested in the opening quarter.
Yeah.
I want to say though, if you were drafting based on this game, Zach Harding would have shot up your draft rankings.
100%. He's been incredible. I was very surprised he didn't go in the Midson draft based on he played in the Young Gun series, but not for the Young Guns. He played for the Vic Country team in one of those games, and he was really good in that. I just think he's that modern day, that classic and modern day don't really go together, do they? But he's a big physical body. You can't really push him. You can't dominate his space at all. And then he works really hard. Like, he's not a highly talented player, but he works really hard to get into space. I think there's been a free kick here to WA. Is that Curtin?
Number 26. Yeah, no. That's Banfield.
Oh, Banfield.
Has he got the ball?
He's got a 50. No. Someone else has got it. I haven't seen much of him either, Banfield.
You know what, though? Swadlin just making himself a nuisance in that aerial contest. He's got a good thing. But Charlie Watson, if you ever want, my father-in-law always says, if you want someone who can kick a ball, go to Claremont.
Yeah.
Don't know how true that is. He might have lied to me.
I mean, they've for years, like, they've dominated the Western Australian draft scene. Nice left footer. He's got it.
You know what? I'm still waiting to fact check this, but from all the ball sports I've watched, AFL must produce the most left-footed players.
It's crazy, isn't it? Do you think that's just because we've always had a...
I think it's the lack of alkaline in your water. Genuinely. It's weird, because I remember going to school playing football or soccer, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
And like the left-footed player was like, honestly, like he was like he'd fallen from Mars.
I sort of agree with you when I was growing up. That was the same thing. And then Alistair Clarkson's Hawthorn through the middle 2000s, like, really, I guess, changed the way we looked at left footers, because they were just seen as being better kicks of the football. And like, that's one of those things, again, it's like very hard to quantify, but they seem to at least aesthetically kick the ball really well. And then all of a sudden the AFL is just littered with them.
Yeah, when you watch, it's like so many people are left foot, but it's the same with golf as well. The amount of good mark there, good kick inside 50, was big, strong grab. starting to get a bit of ascendancy like we thought they would do at the start of the game.
Was that Freddie Rodriguez?
It was, yeah. And we talked about their midfield, thought they'd get some ascendancy.
Yep.
And they've started to get that dominance and that ascendancy.
Fred Rodriguez, he does have that little bit of a burst out of stoppage.
I feel like he's one of them players that's got like a 6 out of 10 in every box you'd tick for a midfielder, which helps him get into the top 10. It creates that problem if you're a coach of how can I best utilize him? Because there is a fear that he could have like a Jack Carroll type career. Jack Carroll's the last person who springs to mind, who was 6 out of 10 on everything, was a bottom ager when he was drafted by Carlton, was just at the low end as Cody Curtin kicks that goal. But Carlton didn't know what he was and never really focused on a position. And sometimes they get pigeonholed as that stopgap. You're going to play wing this week. Oh, we had an injury now. It's very important that when you're drafted, they've got a clear vision. If they've got a clear vision, I think Fred will be a great player. I just fear he goes into a team and, a bit like what North have done. They've got so many midfielders. It's like you play halfback for 2 weeks. I feel like Fred needs that clear focus of you're going to be the fourth rotation.
And you're just going to keep going in. And that's... I think that's actually considered when players are being drafted. Like clubs do go, well, when his first 3 years, what's he going to be? Because you look at the draftees from last year, like Draper probably didn't have that extra weapon. He's one of the only guys in that top end that's not playing consistently. I think that's because he doesn't have a secondary position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably a nightmare as well that Isaac Rankine has turned into prime Gary Ablett Jr.
Yes. Yeah, doesn't help
his
him.
Position. That would be, he'd want to be that burst as they do it again. Eagles, WA starting to get that wonderful.
That was Rodriguez again.
Yeah, getting that wonderful ascendancy. And Charlie Watson, chance to showcase his wares.
He's been their best forward, for sure.
He's presented well. I agree, Langy. Yeah, left-handers are everywhere, even in cricket. Yeah, mate. Don't know what Australians feed children. I can safely say my kids are right-footed and right-handed.
It's a strange one. I also never understand, like, why is it that a left footer looks aesthetically better than a right footer? How does that actually happen in our brains?
I know from a golf coaching perspective, it's easier to coach a left-hander.
Is it? Why? Oh, because the coach is right-handed?
Yeah, so because you're used to seeing a right-handed swing, left-handed, it really puts swing faults, because you see a right-handed swing faults all the time. With a left-hander, like you can see it straight away. I've always preferred coaching left-handed people. I find it interesting. It's like because your brain's flipped the image.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to notice the little slight idiosyncrasies people do.
That's Melody again. I think driving that inside 50.
Oh, tell you what, told to play on.
Got it.
Oh, that is poor.
Where's your left foot?
Swaddling. We're talking about left footers, and he's a pure right footer there.
Yeah. I feel like that is like consistently a feature of Swaddling. Can win the ball, has a little bit of difficulty using it, something that he definitely has to work on. Now, it's super interesting, and I find it funny how in different sports too that changes. Like I think in NFL, like left-handed quarterbacks, it's like, ugh, the way that they see it. But then we see left foot kicking. And I think like soccer likes left footers too, don't they? Like,
yeah, like from a sporting position, like playing inside centre in rugby, if you came up against a left-footed inside centre, that was always a nightmare to defend because their angle is totally opposite of yours.
Yep.
So that works, I think, in all contact sports. So I'm a sucker, and I always say this. I like a left-footed player on the right wing and a right-footed player on the left wing, and that comes from playing football for years.
You sort of, in soccer, though, you definitely need more.
But I feel like in AFL it does because it's a beautiful, like, the way the ball comes in. As a good little mark, Blake Kelly, we haven't seen much of him, but he's got a knack out in Swans District for kicking snaggaroos out there, and we love a goal kicking mid.
He was close, Blake Kelly, to being the best Western Australian player in the 2024 Carnival. Like he was right up there as far as his performance goes. But yeah, he sort of hasn't this year. It doesn't feel like he's like come along, like improved that much.
Well, ages ago we did a video of what is the hardest position to draft, right? And the one that we found was goal kicking mids, rarer than rocking horse poo.
Yep.
They're really hard to find, really hard to get right. It's going to be an interesting one because Blake Kelly would definitely be that pick. like the Max Hall selection that St.
Yeah.
did. Like, you've
High
got,
forward.
Say if you were like a Carlton, a North, an Adelaide, a Freo that has got the midfield, and you're like, right, okay, he doesn't have to work, but if he does work, we're having a laugh here. We've got potentially the best midfield ever.
For sure.
So he's definitely them ones that you'd throw a dart at.
They're just getting on top massively from the centre clearances here, WA.
Yeah, and it's really helped that the rucks have started to really do their job. It's like
Yep.
Benji. Tell you what, Benji, you know what? We've got pick one this year being a ruckman. I wouldn't be surprised to see Benji Van Ruin be high up after
Climb
this
up
year.
there a bit.
Yeah, because, I mean, the physicality of him, 200 centimetres at his age,
Yeah.
that's filth.
Do you think he projects as a ruck at the top level, or do you think he'd play more of a key position role?
I think I could see I see a little bit of Draper in him at
Yeah.
at Essendon.
Yeah.
That type of player that could go forward.
I like that type of ruck, just aggressive. Plays with a lot of physicality, but has that sort of like explosive nature as well. Number 23 for Western Australia.
Maxi.
That's Maxi. Oh, it is too. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, he's been good in this last few minutes.
Yeah, definitely one of them players that you'd look at in here because, like we keep saying wings are so important in today's game.
Yeah.
So important in today's game. And see, there we are. We got a bit of Onley. Onley, when we were talking about the next prototype, Onley is what I think is the next big thing in AFL. High aerobic, big-bodied midfielder.
Do you think, though, the ball, like when you say that as the next big thing, do you think the ball use style of Onley kills that a little bit? Because I feel like it is. Like, I feel like.
First time we've seen Cody there as well. Drills it.
Yeah.
Turn over that.
It's Cody. Yeah, we haven't called Cody Walker's name.
Yeah, he's only had 2 touches. He hadn't played much, though, but long bomb.
I love the fact that this game's starting to shape towards a closer finish because I feel like you get so much more information when the game stays close of the players and the mentality.
Yeah, and especially now the momentum's changed as well. Really, country haven't had to defend.
No.
So now we've seen the midfield attack. It's looked very nice when it's had it its way. Let's see how it digs in now and grinds.
Yep.
So you're going to learn a lot about Dersma here. A lot.
You're going to learn a lot about Dersma. I think this is the phase of the game like that Western Australia have probably struggled in, like moving the ball from the back 50. They've loved just going on that ride from centre clearance, right? Ball comes back into the middle of the ground. Big momentum shift.
And this is the type of game now that Cody Walker will thrive as well because this is going to come down to moments. They need a moment. So it'd be interesting. They're playing him across half forward at the minute. Will they swing him in for a few stoppages? Because this is where you could do it. Dersma slips.
Yeah.
Great pickup, though. There.
Yeah, Only.
Look at. Yeah, you see, on your only thing, I understand his ball use, but I feel like if you were smart with Onley and you've got your ball users around there, I feel like that's the modern day player, the big body.
Oh, it is. He's explosive. He's pretty hard to contain if he gets on a run. But yeah, maybe perhaps doesn't have the kind of the finer skills. But here he goes again. He's really getting into this game.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a physical beast for sure.
Who should Blues take with a top 10 pick? Good question. At this stage, from this game, Josh Lindsay would be a dream.
Oh, absolutely. How are Blues going to get a top 10 pick, though?
I'm assuming Webby has just conceded that TDK is now a Saints player. Yes, please. Great patient build-up by WA. And look at that. Curtin again. You know what Curtin, why I gave him the similarity of Darcy Fogarty is he has that ability, like you just saw there, to just find space when there shouldn't be any space.
Yeah, for sure. He's a handful. He probably hasn't, like the traits that I identify him as having, like being that really sort of strong in the air player. He hasn't really been able to show that in this game. Like no pack marks or anything like that. But he has just kind of, he's bobbed up.
Kai makes a great point. That's brilliant about Onley. I couldn't agree more. Feels like he has the talents you can't teach, but weaknesses you can easily teach. Spot on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, it's because it's mostly technical. The technical skills aren't necessarily there, but all the physical traits are there, which you can't improve those. If, like, for example, Josh Lindsay's never going to have those traits, but he's very technically gifted.
Yeah, and that's why when Webby asked about who would I like to see Carlton and take out of this crop, Lindsay's that player, guy that I don't think we have anyone at the club that can hit targets with their eyes closed. But what's funny is, like, with Onley, I think that's like I keep saying it, that's the modern day inside midfielder for me. Like, he's quick as well.
Yeah.
He covers a lot of ground. So I don't mind if he never improved his disposal efficiency, because I think you're going to get that beast behaviour 4 quarters all around the ground.
I agree with you. Yeah, I definitely agree with you from a positional sense. Like, if you just play him as that inside mid, he can pretty much get you out into open air, get out the front with his athleticism. And then you almost, like, you can kind of almost go, well, worst case scenario, he stays the same. He doesn't improve those skills, and he is what he is.
Yeah, like he puts 5 kgs on elite AFL level program. He's going to be in pain.
Oh, that was lucky. Who's that?
That was Job Scapin, who was chasing.
That was interesting. He didn't fully stick the tackle. Oh, good mark.
Big mark.
Is that
That's our Will Milady.
Oh, it is again. He's definitely been the most dangerous of the country forwards.
Ben Brown 2.0.
Yeah.
Tell you. Oh, that.
Gets it in deep. Good defence. Is that your boy for WA?
Lachlan Carpenter. I think it was number 24. Yeah, he's got the fair hair.
No, I think that guy had dark hair. Might have been Catalini. Shaping up here, 7 points Western Australia lead by after a hot start for Vic Country. Harding.
You were just waiting for him to turn then and just put the foot through it with Jesse Mellor. Thought he was going to give us the left foot snap. They managed to get it out. Here is Callum Smith, though. He's been lively in this second term.
Malady. Van Ryn did well there too, back at the stoppage at ground level.
Yeah, I think he definitely. I mean, you don't really get a 16-year-old who's 202 centimeters, do you?
It's pretty rare.
Like, it's pretty scary to think.
Yeah,
and I think he moves so well already for his size. So
yeah,
like that's one of them concerns, isn't it? When you see them 200 plus, they do look like Bambi on ice.
For sure.
But he's got beautiful balance already. So you feel like he's growing into his body. That is the issue there with Cody Curtin.
Yep.
Like, he runs through treacle.
Yes.
Like, his legs were going, but it felt like he was walking.
And that, conversely there, is like what Dersman just did there, what he can do in the turnover phase, just to link up like that, get up and down the field. He goes, Callum Smith. He's got a nice little turn on him as well there. Bit of a helicopter inside 50.
You know who he reminds me of? One of my favourite players in the AFL, Hugo Ralph-Smith.
Oh, yeah.
He's got that Hugo Ralph-Smith trait that you look at the stat sheet and you're like, he's got 25 touches. And when you watch the game again, you're like, yes, he was involved in everything.
But you don't notice him in
he
real
hasn't
time.
Kicked the goals or anything, but you realise that he is the key component of the transitional game.
Yeah, he's got a very, like, he's a weird one to me. You know, sometimes like you just have these aesthetic things like drilled into your brain. Like Josh Lindsay plays very aesthetically nicely.
Yeah,
the way that he moves and stuff. Like whereas Smith has that more like upright posture. You know what I mean? He's got the real sort of like straight back and runs a bit funny.
Yeah. He's got private school written all over him. Genuinely, like, you know what I mean? Like, you would be the least shocked if he said, "Yeah, I went to private school."
Yeah, I went to private school.
You'd be like, yeah, I called it, mate.
I like this ruck battle. Harding gets a tap.
Ooh. Tell you what,
Gee, that was a hospital ball.
he did not want that, did he? He did not want to take that. Tell you what, the backlines, though, surprisingly, have been very impressive. Their ball use. Like, you look down the back, you've got Catalini and Carpenter for WA. They look to play the ball. You've got Dean down the back for Vic. They've looked to play the ball.
Yeah.
Both him and Darcy, Harry Moon as well, they've all looked to play the ball from the back half of the ground, which is something that you'd look at as a recruiter, because what do? They all play from the back now.
Exactly. I reckon the best example of that too, as far as missing drafts, is a player we talked about a lot last year. Sandringham Dragons key defender. Help me out here, Pommy. Was up for the mid-season again.
Oh, Joel Cochran?
Not Joel Cochran. No,
his mate.
Missed the draft. Why can't I think of his name? He's playing with the Dandy Stingrays this year. Played for the Dragons last year. I've blanked his name. Anyway, Cole. Adrian Cole. Yep, you got it.
Oh, Kai as well. Well done, Kai.
So he was that guy, like good athletic key defender, could lock down, but his ball, I think for him, it's just like his ball use is too bad. Even those big key defenders that pretty much only defend, they still need a level of ball use to be able to sort of make them draftable.
It's a game that's becoming more and more backline heavy. It's becoming very counter attacking, and I think you look now, it's something that I say, one of the things I look at when I'm doing any previews is that backline battle. Like, you're looking at it and you're going, right, is there any name here that I don't want having the ball 25 times?
Yep.
Because it's the most dangerous thing. When people always ask, why is turnover important? You are dangerous when the opposition has the ball.
Absolutely.
And that's the scariest place to be.
It's I look at those players too, and like the ones that you can have dozens of turnovers in a game, but the guys that can make those like individual, it's like from a strike rate perspective, the guys that can actually really hurt you. You look at players that have dominated that position over the last few years, like Dacos in 23. Ed Richards was doing it a little bit last season as well before he went into the midfield. Jordan Dawson, these types of players. They're the ones that are a part of that at junior level too. Like all of those guys that I just mentioned, Dawson, Richards, Hayden Young, played in that halfback position and then developed into midfielders as they went along too. So I feel like from a draft perspective, you're looking at those types of players as well.
Yeah, Josh Lindsay has that appeal, doesn't he? You can see him starting halfback till about 2028, 2029.
Yeah,
and then becoming a full-blown mid 2-3 years into the system.
Totally. He's got midfielder written all over him. And a lot of West Coast fans who have they have those top picks in the draft, they're like looking at a Josh Lindsay and they're going like, not another. They've almost been scarred by drafting these like utility types like Bo Allen and Jinby and players that sort of haven't gone on to be that A-level midfielder. But I feel like you can't paint every draftee with the same brush because of that as well. And I think you've still got to...
Having Tom there as well, their new number one mid-season pick, like pairing him up with Josh Lindsay.
Oh.
Like, because very similar what you'd want them to be long-term.
Yeah.
Like, to learn them traits off him, to be protected, to learn the dark arts. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Josh Lindsay kicks a football with a dream.
I honestly think in this draft crop, he's the safest.
Oh, he's
the safest pick.
And I think he's probably the most ready-made, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he could slot in, as I said before, fantasy coaches. He's the guy that comes in. He's a little bit similar to Xavier Lindsay from last year.
Yeah.
There's some similar traits there.
The surnames make them, I swear it's a Lindsay trait.
There's
the new trait you look for. What's the surname?
Yeah, like there's some slight differences there for sure. But I mean, you look at the stat sheet at the moment, going through the players. He has had 18 disposals. The next best is 12. So he just knows how to find the footy. He's had 15 kicks and 3 handballs. So he always uses the ball by foot, gets himself into space. And that's another a trait of his game, being able to slow the movement down around him, work in that traffic and be able to get the ball out by foot, I think is a real skill. 64 fantasy points at halftime, 18 disposals at halftime in shortened games. That's like probably the equivalent. 18 disposals in this game, it's probably the equivalent of 25 in a regular game, a little bit less. So crazy.
Matt, no, he's not linked to anyone. I'm linking him to Carlton, though, if that helps.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
No, he'll be one of the
Don't tell anyone.
first non-connected players picked in the draft for me.
Don't tell anyone. Downplay him. I want him.
He's been best on ground. Like, he's tracking for best on ground in this game. He was best on ground in the Futures game on grand final last year, and then he got best on ground in the Academy game 2. Was it the Academy game 2? Yeah, it was. The one against Coburg.
Yeah.
He was best on in that one as well. So
his stock will rise, and the problem is when he's doing games like this, he's going to do it. He's not going to be a surprise.
Yeah.
You know who has impressed me? We haven't seen much of the ball, but we did talk about him pre-game, Job Scaplin. Just not having a lot of the ball, but his defensive craft has stood out. He's been up against some big guys there as well. Wes Wally, he's really kept Wes Wally quiet-ish.
Escape and playing in the back half, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Interesting.
And then he's floated on the midfield into the ball.
Yeah.
He's got Matt De Boer 2.0 written on him.
Matt De Boer 2.0. That's interesting. He's kicked a lot of goals this season for Gippy.
Yeah, well, you look at the modern day tagger, isn't it? They like them to attack as well. They like them to...
Oh, absolutely.
We no longer do we have that guy who just blankets a player.
Yeah, like a Toby Bedford, I think, like probably the one that stands out. He is the player that he is because he's got that defensive stability to his game, but he's also like he can hurt you. Like great agility, great ability to step out of traffic. He's got pace, so hurts you with his touches as well. He's not going to get 25, 30, but he'll get 12 and have 6 or 7 score involvements to go along with that as well, for sure.
Hate to be biased as well, but Harry Dean. There, 6 marks, using the ball pretty well. He had that one brain fade where he spilled the uncontested, but he's been a general down there. Like, I look at him and just think him working with Jacob Wheatering.
Oh, it's a perfect.
And then you've got Harry O'Farrell, who's totally different to both of them. Carlton might have managed to find the Wheatering-Jones combination of 5 years ago.
I think like, again, you talk about all the 3 of those guys, O'Farrell as well, like all can use the ball. So you sort of get these like modular defenders that can do a little bit of everything. They're not just able to shut down their opponents. And for those guys to learn off a player like Wiedering.
Yeah, and if you add Josh Lindsay to that back line.
Oh, you're actually...
We're back.
You're probably... You are.
We're back.
Like
He's back. I fixed it.
But the problem is, like, do you think that you will... Like, do you think that's actually going to go through the Tom de Koning? Is it going to happen? And do you want it to happen? This is a bit of a similarity to like Manchester United with the Bruno Fernandes thing, right?
Yeah, it's tough because I think it's hard. I'll say this. I always say, like, Riley O'Brien works with Adelaide. Darcy, to an extent, works with Fremantle because I feel like Tom de Koning is the Band-Aid fix for Carlton drafting the same midfielder. So it gives them that POD.
Yep.
But if you put Mark Pitternet there, you just realise that the Blues have literally recruited the same player 4 times, and it's like, whoops.
The only argument I would make on Pitnet sort of working for Carlton is he gives you like a little bit similar to Adelaide. Like Adelaide have always gone for that, had that midfield group that have been like good, gather from hit out type players. So real good connectivity between mids and ruckman, and that could sort of assist Carlton with the way that they move the ball inside 50. So you've got Pitnet, like de Koning, more of this crash and bash style, get it in. It doesn't necessarily favour your mids the way that de Koning wins the taps and wins the ball, but he can get those kind of like fast clearances into Kernell, Mackay. You might give your mids a little bit more access from a hit out perspective, like the way that they win the ball in at the centre, and then they can like players like Walsh and Chera, even Cripps to an extent, can then sort of like use the ball a little bit better inside 50 with a Pitnet. But you definitely then you lose a transitional player.
Yeah,
like Tom de Koning.
I think if for Pitnet to play, I'd worry about Cripps and Hewitt in the same midfield with. Like I'd need to see Jagger, and I feel like we need another midfield. Like if you said to me Josh Lindsay came, and then you said it was Pitnet, Josh Lindsay playing at halfback, doing the 20 minutes a game on the ball with Jagger, with Cripps, with Walsh, and with Cherry, I'd be like, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
This could work.
So you think that Hewitt would get pushed out of the midfield?
Well, yeah, I'd hate to say it, but my brain can't fathom how you could lose the line-breaking ability of TDK. Put Pitternet there, no, that's gone. I can't see. At the minute, I haven't seen...
How old's Pitt?
He's only 26, 27. He's only
Jeez,
a baby.
he looks old, doesn't he?
His paper round was through Beirut. Yeah. He looked about 55 when he was drafted, God bless him. But, yeah, I just fail to see how you could go even slower.
Yeah.
Because I think the big problem with Carlton is the movement off the half-back line.
Oh, for
and
sure.
the midfield, it's not quick enough, which means you can zone in really quickly when we get inside 50.
Yeah.
So I'm looking in this draft at 2 ball-using halfbacks. Ideally, some guy that is quicker than Manan.
That's the only, like, you'd some ways Carlton would love that player. Like, they'd love Josh Lindsay, but with a bit of explosive speed. Right, like if he had both of that, like he is a slower player, but he's like that nice mover. But it is like even the teams now, I feel like the AFL is pushing towards this stoppage game. That if you're a stoppage dominant team, you've still got that. You're again going to strike rate. Talking about that as a statistic, having those like Western Bulldogs are probably the best example of it. Having like an Ed Richards as your talisman in the midfield, helping that strike rate. Where Carlton have that clearance dominance game plan, but they don't have that player. It's more just death by 1,000 cuts, get the ball in, and hope that Kernell and Mackay take care of it.
Yeah, and I think that's never going to work in today's game. I think,
no,
it's scary when you are a stoppage dominant side and you don't get the ball out, and it's not going out at pace. So that's and it's weird because Carlton have targeted that. If you look at the drafts, the last 3 or 4 years of it, we've targeted outside run and. It's amazing that
Hollands and these types.
We went hard on it. Billy Wilson, quick, line breaking halfback, playing well in the VFL, doesn't get a chance. So definitely that's an area that I always make the joke. It's almost like the list management has never been in the same room.
Yeah, they don't speak. They don't speak.
It's like they're doing it like remotely.
But without actually having a Zoom call.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? We'll pick him. Everyone else is picking them types of players. So it'll be interesting because I feel like if TDK goes, to answer your question, do I want him to go? No, because I think he's a very good footballer.
Yeah.
But if he goes and it opens up us really going hard at resetting what we've probably put too much eggs in.
Here's a different question then. Would you swap TDK for Josh Lindsay?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
100%. Because I feel like you can hide a ruckman. I think a ruckman is very overrated.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
it's important, but I think it's overrated. I don't think you need a supreme one. You need a solid one.
Yeah, I think you need, if you don't have a good ruckman, you need a good coach. I think that's an important thing. Like you need workarounds to be able to get yourself into the game without having that sort of dominance. But I do agree with the sentiment about ruckman that you don't necessarily, like you can't, it's really difficult to find high level mids and ball users and those halfback distributors. It's really difficult to find them in mid-season drafts and the back end of drafts. It's easy to find ruckman in those sorts of positions. So then using a pick like on a Cooper Duff Titler, you've obviously you are wasting a pick potentially that you could use on one of those higher end players.
And I think we're probably in a fortunate position that everyone has targeted ball users, but Carlton.
Yeah.
So I feel like, in this draft, Carlton will go in and everyone will be like, yeah, the bloke can kick, but has he got anything else? And we're literally just looking for the dude who can kick. So it's like, this is
we just want that guy. So who, in that top end of the draft, if we do a bit of a talk through the top 10, who else jumps out at you as somebody that could maybe tick the box that Carlton needs in that top 10 sort of a quality player? Like we mentioned Lindsay. Do you look at someone like a Rory Wright for Sandringham Dragons? Do you have him in that conversation?
He could be. I mean, I think the hyphen Noah Hibbins-Hargreaves would be, we've tried with Elijah. Obviously we've gone Flynn Young.
Yep.
We've gone Flynn Young, which is huge for us. But he's an unknown. He's a child.
Yeah.
So you don't know. So I feel like Noah Hibbins-Hargreaves has that ceiling. You've seen it in this game as well. his ability to get involved, but also lead up and be almost that target 65 out that can change the angle. He'd definitely be someone that I'd have a sniff. And Fred Rodriguez, surprisingly, I think if you he'd be able to come to us and have a defined role of, it's not working with Walsh, is it? We want Walsh on the outside.
You want him on the outside for sure.
But it's not quite working. That would allow us to really focus on that and say, right, Fred, you're going to do a bit of both. Free up Walsh a bit.
Do you think there's a potential with Hibbins-Hargraves, just to go back to him, that he is a little bit similar to a Sam Walsh in that there's potential for midfield growth going a little bit inside there with a Hibbins-Hargraves, but he doesn't necessarily have that. So he might not be a player that thrives on the inside.
I don't think like when I look at us, I don't think we need.
You don't need it
inside.
Anyway. Well, you got players like Lord too in depth.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like you look at our midfield for the future. Let's say 2027. It's going to be Cody Walker, Cooper Lord, Jagger Smith. Already them three, a modern day. I always say this about Carlton's build. We're kind of like Collingwood at the minute, and no one's talking about it. Collingwood have executed brilliantly, knowing that they're going to have 3 NGAs this year in the top 40.
Yep. Suddenly
that depth is there, and you can see they've targeted it. Carlton are going to get Harry Dean, which instantly shows up that backline future.
Yep.
Modern day. You've got Ison, potentially Gresham, but Ison definitely will be better than most in that. Cody Walker to come, that's made your midfield already dynamic. Cody Walker, even got to wait 12 months. Jagger and Cody are the modern day Tweedledum and Tweedledee in the midfield. So it's about really now finding the pieces. And Cooper Lord is going to be the Timu Cripps. That is, why we're talking about Onley.
Yeah.
He's the modern day Onley.
Yeah.
Tough, but he can work hard.
He's a really hard worker. I think his ball use is pretty good.
So I don't think our list is as... I know people say it's bad now, and it is. I'm not stupid. It is bad. But I think it'll turn very quickly if you're shrewd in the next 12 months.
It does make you think, though, as well, that like that conversation around Harry Mackay and the ability to maybe like put him up on the trade table and what that could also do for your draft. And you talked about it before. You said like this draft is actually one that if you could get multiple picks and you could, go and have a look in the delves of some of these different leagues and try and find some bargains, there's definitely some players to be had, and Carlton could kind of go down that path of like putting some more players up on the trade table.
I think there'll be a lot of clubs who do it. Like there's a lot of clubs with lots of picks as well. Like I look at Essendon, and this draft is perfect for the Bombers. Like really perfect for them to get them little bits of je ne sais quoi that they need. Like I look at the Bombers.
You're talking from an NGA perspective, or what they can do outside that?
Well, with their picks, because they've got Melbourne's, haven't they? So they've got the two picks together. So I think they've got a real healthy draft stock. And I can see, we've always have it, don't we, every year? We have the Adelaide of 2023. We have the Hawthorn of 2024. Right? I think that they are going to be that of 2026. I think Essendon, with the right recruitment this year, will just suddenly jump.
Who do you think with their 2 picks? I mean, they're looking at, what have they got at the moment? I think they've got maybe pick 5 or 6, do they, from Melbourne, and then their own, which is probably pushing closer to that number 10. After academy bids, who could you see them going after, considering the fact that they've all pretty much got their small forward brigade locked away for the next 10, 15 years with Kako last year, with Hussein, El Ashkar and Adam Swade? They've kind of...
Yeah, they've got the hard bits done, haven't they?
Yeah. Are we back here?
We are, yeah. I'd say Onley would be about their first pick.
See, those players to me, like a Dyson Sharp and a Riley Onley, they look very Essendon, a team that's really struggled to find that.
I think he would be perfect around that midfield.
Yeah. Yeah,
Onley, I think Onley would be one of them targets. And then I think that they've got to look at like getting a key. Like they'd love a Harry Dean. A Harry Dean would be perfect to complement them. Obviously, he's a lot to us.
What do you think about what they've got in that aspect at the moment? Like Lewis Hayes, obviously, like Reed's coming through.
Yeah, I feel like they need a strong interceptor. I like Reed down the back, and I think Hayes is going to be a solid lockdown. I feel like one thing, if I was an Essendon list manager, I'd want that, as they might kick the late. Oh, where's Wally? Look at that. Gibbs it off.
Great hands. Is that Swaddling?
Oh, tell you what. Banfield did everything to miss that.
Oz Banfield. See, the numbers are killing me here because Swaddling wears 26 in the waffle. And then I just think that that's him automatically. Good start for Western Australia. They now lead by 2 goals. And I just realised a player that popped up on the screen there, Hunter Wright. I don't think I've called his name at all. Got involved in the play there. So he's had a really quiet start to this game.
Yeah, and tell you what, this is an absolute turnaround. Now there's going to be questions asked about this midfield country. They've got a plethora of talent. And you've only got to look at the stat sheet. Onley, Dersma, Lindsay dominated the bow.
For me, Josh Lindsay has to come on ball here. If Western Australia continue to go on this run, he's got to come in and we've got to be able to see his ball winning ability, not just the movement off half back, I feel.
Yeah, and like Ed Richards 2.0, Callum Smith, you'd probably flow him around the ball, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure. Here they go again, Western Australia from the midfield.
Oh, good tackle.
Okay, I'll jump in there for
Is
that.
he faster than Sheasel? He's probably up there. He's probably on par. I wouldn't. I don't think Sheasel's that fast.
No, he's not. He's not. So I think the athletic trait that Sheasel has that's really underrated is his lateral movement.
Yeah,
his agility is really up there. Yeah, I think Lindsay's probably got less overall athleticism. Like he's shorter than Sheasel. Sheasel's like 186. He's about 182. Probably doesn't have the same agility, but he does seem to have this just sort of like innate, that's Curtin around the corner.
That's massive.
Beautiful goal there by the big man. He is a skillful player for his size. But I would say Lindsay can manipulate space just as well in the same way that's like someone like a Scott Pendlebury.
I'd say the big selling point as well with Lindsay is his ball use.
Yeah, it's his brain.
Like if you gave Sheasel Lindsay's ball use, we would be having a conversation.
Yeah, I think he's
as the GOAT,
and I agree that Lindsay does have better ball use than Sheasel. It's a higher end kicking ability for sure.
That'd be an interesting one. Billy Richmond talking about Cody Walker. He has obviously got the choice between Cowton and Richmond.
Yes.
Tell you what, he suits both midfields, but he's coming to Cowton. Don't worry about it, Billy. You look after.
You sure about that, Paul?
Yeah, you look after Harley Reid, mate. you worry about that.
Zach Harding wins the hit out. Cinema, I think, getting involved.
But yeah, I think Josh Lindsay reminds me of my Murphy Reid last year. So for those who watch the content know, I was all over Murphy Reid because I like a guy that is incredibly consistent. And it's no surprise to me he's coming to the bigs. Oh, Dean.
Your boy.
Look at that. All Australian 2026 backman there. But yeah, he gives me that Murphy Reid trait that I would not be shocked to be doing round 3 and he's nominated for Rising Star and I'd be like, okay, cool. Will Dersma there using his height.
Yes. That's what you want to see from him. You want to see him getting involved, clunking marks, winning stoppages. Hibbins Hargraves gets involved. Cinema.
Tell you what, he's been very good as well.
Cinema?
Yeah.
Oh, he has,
We talked... Oh, good mark. We talked about Essendon, how I feel like they're going to be the next jumper. Everyone talks about all the other teams, Sydney, Brisbane, but Essendon have done mighty well in the last 2 years.
Yeah, as in the draft, you mean?
Yeah, with the NGAs and the players coming through, like they've got very solid little players.
It's so funny, isn't it? Like I feel everyone gets, I suppose because the bulk of the fans, he's missed that goal, Mellor. That's a big miss. Everyone gets upset about the northern clubs because I suppose the majority of the fans are based in Victoria. I feel like the issue with this is more around like father-sons, potentially NGAs. Like who are the teams that are actually being successful? It's not like it hasn't been the Gold Coast, has it, that are winning from this? It hasn't been the GWSs. It's more been like your Brisbanes who have got multiple father-sons.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the stat. It's not art, but we talked about it on one of the lives where I think it was like 1 in 35 of the academies at Gold Coast has played more than 50 games.
Yeah.
So it's not a high success rate. I would prefer like what Essendon, what Cowton, what Collingwood are going to do, not have the superstar with the exception of Nick Dacos, but maybe have one superstar come through. So your Cody Walkers, your Nick Dacoses, but then have real strong 30, 40 picks. So like you look at Carlton, they've got Ben Camporelli, Lucas Camporelli. These are perfect DNA of your list.
Yep.
Squad builders.
Role players.
Like I love them types of players. I'd rather my academy produce players like that. And then when you're rubbish, you draft a superstar.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you.
Like I feel Brisbane, it's a rarity. The Ashcroft, God knows what's in that DNA at the Ashcrofts. Like I was watching them last night. Both freaks of nature.
But if you just as far as like from a point of view of like, the competition becoming unfair because of it, there's been more successful teams that are built off father son than there are off academy. Like with like Collingwood 23, the Dacos brothers, Will Ashcroft 24. Like if you go back through the premiership era, it's more that than it actually is the NGAs.
Australians hate me for this, but I'm a big hater of the father-son.
I hate it as well.
I can't believe you're taking a chance on the product of sperm 18 years ago.
It's so weird.
But I think the way to do it, though, is I'd still keep you're forced to be drafted by the club if you want to.
Yeah.
But I'd like to add an element that there is a reward or a false trade to get that pick.
Yeah.
So I would love to see in an ideal world, let's just say Cody Walker is pick 1. I'd love it. The AFL has some kind of mechanism that Carlton have to trade with Port Adelaide or whoever has pick 1. There is a forced minimum requirement fee. So there is a benefit for them not having the best player.
Yes.
And a punishment for us being guaranteed. Because when people say, but that's unfair, if you win a flat, like you look at
goal.
Oh, what a goal. You look at like being picked Brisbane, they get an Ashcroft who's a top 3 talent. They're going to get Danny Alabel who's a top 3 talent and potentially finish the best 4 clubs in the land.
Yep.
If you force them to trade, they're still getting top talent, but they are helping another club.
Absolutely. I think there was, we got tagged in something the other day and they were talking about...
Maltese Falcon, shout out you.
Yeah, big shout out on Twitter. And he was talking about the idea of basically over like a running 5-year period, I think it was, that you could only take, say, a maximum of 2 of those picks if it was inside a certain draft range. I think it might have been first round or it might have been top 20. I can't quite remember, but... that you could only, like within a 5-year period, you only get 2 of those top 20 level picks. So then you'd have to like bypass and you'd have to decide almost which one you were going to take.
100% with him as well. I mean, like, I'd still keep the protection, but I would have it, like the compensation pick, like they've done it with Tasmania, a certain value they've have to trade the picks for.
Yes.
You could still do that with these players. You could be like, right, Carlton have got to give 3,000 points. One of them has to be a first rounder.
Yep.
And if that's met, the trade is enforced. So I think you could do it. What annoys me is when you match the bid with like 8 picks of 20 and they just get burned. And it's like, this never happened. There's no benefit for bidding on them.
And it always it always helps out. Like there'll be 2 clubs involved in a trade and they'll get a massive advantage from that overall pick swap for what they want.
Yeah, Gold Coast, they just help people out on the side because they have no value for first at the minute.
Yep.
Will, Big Will there, he's had like 4 or 5 marks this week. This game, straight from centre clearance, hasn't clutched them.
It was only involved again from the centre stoppage too.
And Jesse, he's missed a few, but he's gone casual this time and banged it through.
We've got a game. 43 plays 48.
Tell you what, the battle of the midfield has been an absolute delight. And
it's just gone in momentum swings, hasn't it? It's like WA early were on fire. It's kind of swung back the other way now.
You know what? Just checking the data as well. Toby Wan and Fred Rodriguez have been absolutely brilliant for them. But Callum Smith, I joked, Ed Richards 2.0, just cheekily, he's had 3 clearances this half.
Who's that?
Cal Smith.
Yeah, well, he was involved in that play as well.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Like,
he's honestly Ed Richards 2.0.
He is. He's got some speed too, as a bit of a point of difference for him. I'm just going to jump into those stats.
I've given him some love today, Cal Smith, because he started off as Hugo Ralphsmith and now he's up to Ed Richards.
He's up to Ed Richards, yeah. He's just slowly elevating. Centre bounce. He's in the centre bounce right now, as is Dersma. There's Juan Rodriguez.
Tell you what, they do so well.
Who's 35 there got involved? Is that your boy?
Oh, Vic Country's 35.
Yeah.
Jet. Alec.
Ah, right. Gee, he's been quiet, hasn't he?
He has, bless him. But, I mean, it's been an entertaining... Like, really, it's been the game of the big names, hasn't it? Like, the big names have come to play in when the game's on the line. Tell you what, though, can I just say this might be one of the worst grounds I've seen for a while.
Oh, it's so much like glare from the sun / shadows.
This is what people forget as well. This level of football, they're not always playing on pristine ovals like the professionals are. Sometimes they are like, I mean, look at the centre. You only got to look at the centre square. It looks like someone's just put it together.
Absolutely. Do you remember last year? Who took that? Was that Durs? Yeah, it was. Yeah. I can't even say, when the players go into that pocket, they're just like an overexposed blob. You can't actually like make anything out. But do you remember last year, like watching the games? I mean, Icon's a good ground, to be fair. Like a large amount of the games were there. But then like when they got to play at Marvel, it did actually seem to like elevate the performance of the game.
Yeah, but I always think they keep Marvel perfect for the AFL, don't they? Like, I swear it's a little bit like, you know, the week before a pro-am in golf. The worst time to play is then.
Yeah,
because they're doing all the feed and they're doing all the corking. Great little kick inside 50 there.
Is that Melody?
It is, yes. It's Shy Bolton 2.0.
Timu version.
Tell you what, they've done really well. You know, when you look at, they've got these Heath Melody, they've got Wes Wally, they've got all these little awkward players, haven't they, with WA? Like they are, like, honestly, the building block of your list at the minute is that person who's about 190, who's not a tall, not a third, but he's that like mid-forward type player. Every club has them. And I don't think any club has deliberately drafted them. It's like been a complete fortunate error.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'll tell you what, he tried to kill Callum Smith there.
Toby Kenobi. Bang. Very similar goal to the Fred Rodriguez one in the first quarter too.
I'll tell you what, these two as well, you can see that they play for South Fremantle as well. They've got like a sixth sense, Rodriguez and Juan. They're just like, you can see they know. Like in an ideal world, if you're freer, you don't need them, but you'd like both. Like,
for sure.
You combine both. You know what he's got as well, Toby Wan? He's got, you know who he reminds me of? Caleb Sarong.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I feel like there's a little bit of that in Rodriguez too. Just low center of gravity, nuggety sort of midfielders. He's got like, he's, you know, potentially got like a bit more of a burst and a bit more athleticism, I feel, Toby Wan, but I find him hard to place on the draft board.
Yeah, I feel like we're still seeing it, aren't we? And I don't think you'll ever see this, but like Harry Dean, in my opinion, is a top 15, top 10 talent, I think.
Right.
But I think what will happen is because the father-son, no one cares. They'll go about
He'll fall,
30, 32. The same with Juan. Juan is a top 20 easy talent.
I think he's top 20, yeah.
They'll easily, though.
Hibbins Hargraves
there he is, told you.
Downtown.
Imagine him playing for the Blues.
Well,
He knows where the onion bag is.
100%. And he is just one that, to me, when he picks up the ball inside 50, he stands out. Like his talent level, his movement, it's just that, it is that next level. It's elevated.
I couldn't agree more. And I think the big thing is when you look at these types of games, it's always going to be one of them ones that will just open up who these players will be.
Yeah.
To answer your question, he is in the Vic Metro team. Hobbit. Luke Ison is announced in the Vic Metro team.
Yep. He's been incredible. I've watched him.
And a Chargers boy as well. So you know he's good.
Yeah. No, he's been great. Plays with he plays for Scotch, doesn't he, in the APS? I've seen a couple of his games in that. And yeah, with the Chargers as well. Played a game against the Brisbane Academy recently. He was really good in that one as well.
Yeah, you look at just bringing up their team sheet now, the Chargers, they've got some stupidly good talents. But there's also another one no one ever talks about as well. There's Mingara Clark as well, who is definitely one to watch. Jai Saxena is obviously getting the love from there, but Mingara Clark is another Carlton linked player, but he needs to kick on, if we're honest.
Yeah, Saxon linked to Collingwood, of course.
Disgusting, isn't it? They've already got quality ones.
They get it all, don't they?
But yeah, Gresham and Ison both are in the Metro team, Hobbit Luke, so you'll get to see the Blues.
Some awesome combination play from Country here. That was Riley Aquilana to Mello. So a couple of Geelong Falcons boys combining.
Yeah, these are going to be two boys that aren't going to impress us today. Be taken picks 70 and 72 by Geelong.
And turned into
all Australians by 2027. Gresham and Ison's draft range. I reckon third rounder for Ison.
Oh, that feels... I reckon he's better than that. I reckon he's second round.
Late second?
Mid.
Feel with the NGA tag. Are they going to look at other smalls?
Well, that's tricky. As far as where I think his talent lies, I think
he's definitely a top 30 talent.
Yes.
If we were
I was going to say, I was going to place him 20 to 30 in the open market.
And Gresham, I'd say probably...
He's later.
Yeah, he's going to be a project type player, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel Gresham...
Gets a lot of the ball, though, which is deceptive.
Yeah. For me, Gresham's probably like in the range of late to rookie.
Yeah. And here we are, Riley Honorary ghosting forward. You know what I'm going to Google is Sir Season.
He's been impressive today, only.
Is Sir Season South African origin? Let's have a look.
Oh, I reckon it's Hungarian.
Origin.
Yep.
Here we, oh. No, don't you
Oh,
tell me how to spell the name. That's how he spells it. It's not me.
Big kick from Onley.
Poland.
Okay.
It's an Australian name, and it's a derivative.
Polish Australian. Well, Poland and Hungary border.
Same place.
Basically the same place. There might be one of those like pockets in the country though that's like, you know, where like the borderland is, and it's like a bit of both.
So a good spot by you, Dylan, mate. I'll give you that.
Well, a lot of Hungarian words have that SZ combination at the front.
Yeah, I just see a Z in a name and think South African, so I mean, just uncultured swine. I am.
Oh, Mitch Stevens. Where's Gridio? Oh, well done, Stevens.
I tell you what, him and Dean there, look, the father-sons, they've had a bit of combination, and it's killed them this time. But they have.
Oh, dear.
Both Stevens and Dean have enjoyed doing that, haven't they, this game? They've enjoyed playing football.
Yes, they have. They needed what they needed just then was they needed Josh Lindsay to be the last possession in that chain just to get them out of the...
They needed Adam Sard to help them there. Just put his foot through the ball, get it out. Stop this around. No problem, Luke. I'm glad you asked the questions. Ison probably is mid-forward, potentially, but will definitely start life as a small, though, won't he? Definitely start.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll go...
Chance later.
He's like potentially someone that can play that. And I think we've seen over the last few years that forward lines have generally gotten smaller, if anything. He's someone that could probably play as that third, maybe even second tall in some systems. And then also be that like pinch hit on baller as well. I think that's how he'd definitely start. Yeah,
and Gresham's definitely going to be an out-and-out small. He is playing mid, but
I think isn't he 169 centimetres?
He's very small. He's like 2'8".
Yep.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised with Gresham. Just watch this space. It hasn't happened yet. As a backman.
Rodriguez.
Oh,
has he kicked the goal?
What a ruse.
Wow.
Yeah, controversial call. I could see Gresh turning into a diminutive backman.
Oh, okay.
You know, like Caleb Daniel type.
Oh,
he's got pace and he likes to use the ball. I just feel forward. My fear with him is he's a midfielder, but God didn't bless him with the physical facets.
Yes. So then he's like, yeah. And I think like a lot of players that are in that size have that, where it's like they're good footballers, but they just don't have the. So I don't know. I feel like personally that half-back position has weeded out players of that size. You don't see as many of those like small defenders anymore. And if you do, they're very good at locking down on an opposition. Like I'm trying to think of a smaller one that got picked up last year, like Blake Lidler. He was like a shorter defender, but I think he's got the skill set on the ball. But I feel like they look for those guys that are a little bit more hybrid, like a bit taller.
It would be the most opposite counter midfielder ever, wouldn't it? Someone who's under 119, not built like a brick shithouse playing on the ball.
Like if you look at, I feel like Hawthorn's defence is kind of going more modern, where you've got everyone's 190, but they can kind of play tall and small. Oh, he's Mellor off the back. This would be a... Oh, he's at the post.
Yeah, it was Rodriguez's goal, that, Joel. I'm guessing you're a WA man. Rodriguez and your boy Swadlin, they've come alive in this in this third quarter.
And for sure, Rodriguez, like the standout feature for him has been that finishing. Like both of his goals have been just outside the 50. Yeah, goal kicking mid, like picking the ball up.
Like a goal kicking mid.
Yeah, on the half turn.
I wonder how many picks we could bring in.
He's had 13 disposals and 2 goals, has Rodriguez. 5 kicks, 8 handballs. So plenty of clearances built into that as well.
Yeah, he works really... You know what? That's why I gave him that Chera moniker as well a bit earlier. He's got that ability to be involved in every pie, hasn't he? Like he seems to have his finger in every pie that happens in his team. Defensively, he's always there.
Yeah.
Offensive. But that's one thing that I hope if he gets drafted, well, when he gets drafted, I hope a team really gives him one job, because I feel like he could really be a surprise packet.
I just want everyone to watch him though for a second, and just with the kicking, like he seems to sort of have this pitching wedge type kick. So he comes out and the ball gets a lot of height on it when he kicks. It's very accurate.
The chip kick.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have that sort of the cross body kick as much when potentially he like to come inside. And I'd just say that's a watch as far as like the amount of different types of kicks that he can sort of execute. I'm cherry picking there though. Like
No, I agree with you. I mean, look, a lot of the people in our chat will have watched so many Carlton games with me that they know that I have a rule. If I was Carlton coach, you ever do that chip kick, you don't play next week, and I don't care who you are. If you're Kerner, if you're Cripps, I would literally regiment it out of them.
Yeah.
As soon as I see it, even if it's in the back pocket to uncontested, just everything has to be a flat kick.
Everything's got to be low.
I don't want to see anything go above row 2 ever. Yep. Oh, Cody trying to get involved. He's been a bit quiet today, which I think I see Hobbit Luke's talking about,
Noah!
Big Mark. Tell you what, Noah gave him a little bit of a G up and he's back.
Noah Hibbins Hargraves. That's what he can do. He's got that aerial ability as well.
You know what? Huge call. Do you know who he reminds me of?
Can I guess?
Go on.
I think you're going to say someone like maybe like a Toby Green.
You're not far off.
Who?
I was going to go Christian Petrarca.
Oh, not bad. I like that. I think as well, I agree. I think he's got that potential in him. Like he could be one of those damaging forward mids. We haven't really... The only reason I wouldn't say that is because we haven't really seen the midfield.
Yeah, we haven't seen him impact in the mid.
He just hasn't... He's never, like, either at Dandenong or at this level, he hasn't played inside mid yet. But I don't really see why he couldn't.
I feel like starts life at half forward and then 2 years' time, he'll have one of them games. You know, like Petrarca did. It was around, 2021, wasn't it, when Petrarca did that, when they threw him on the ball for the whole game. And he absolutely blew it apart. And it was almost like, oh, my God, we've got a really good midfielder.
Here's a gun. Yeah, what was Petrarca, pick 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, goal-kicking mids, just sign me up. Thank you for that, J-Baggers, as well, saying we run rings around Cal Toomey.
Well, it's always nice to get praise, isn't it?
Yeah. And the clubs don't tip us off who they select as well. So, I mean, there's 2 wins for us.
We have to do it the hard way.
Yeah, we have to do it the hard way. We have to actually watch these people.
Exactly. I'm going... So Hibbins Hargraves as well, I think that is... There's potential bargain in a player like that when they don't play in the midfield. Because I think once a player does go inside and they get their 25 touches a week, that all just puts a premium on them straight away. So if he does continue to play this more outside role, it's a bit, I think, what you see with a player like Max King from the Sydney Academy. I feel like they play him as a forward almost to devalue him.
Yeah, definitely.
From a bidding perspective.
Because he's a jet.
Yeah.
He's a jet.
Yeah, he's got everything. Like he could be the next Isaac Heaney legitimately, but they know.
It was like Ethan Reid a couple of years ago. Do you remember him?
Yes.
And
yes.
I was huge on this, going how this guy is not talked about as a potential top 3 talent because Gold Coast Suns are just messing about with him in the academy.
So what were they doing? Because I wasn't following it as deeply like the games
Well,
back
there was
then.
like periods that they played him like fullback, like just randomly in the game.
Yeah, okay.
Or like he'd just ruck and not ghost forward. Like there was a few games where he literally towards the back end when the hype started to come.
It's like 200 centimetre guy. You're playing wing today.
Yeah, that he almost became like Darcy at Fremantle. He'd do the tap and then you'd not notice him. It was almost like they're like, don't move him forward. Someone will bid.
How many kicks has he had? He's had 5 kicks this quarter. Get him off. Yeah, that's what I feel like they're doing with Max King as well. I mean, like to like on some level, of course, like you're not going to be able to properly hide them, are you? Because recruiters know they've seen them for years and years, so they're going to bid on them. But like if you can turn a pick 5 bid into a pick 10, you win.
It's something that I complain in all the draft coverage in the years I've done it. Like, just bid.
I know.
Dickhead.
Just be a knob. I agree.
Like I always say, can you imagine like in the EPL, Manchester United deliberately undervaluing a player to help City out, just because they're nice guys. Yeah,
I agree. And like they always come back. It's like, oh yeah, it's a community of people, and you'll get hurt. Like, okay, so just hurt each other. Like all hurt each other the next time. Then all be dicks all the time, and it'll just work out better.
It's something I've already said. Like I would deliberately put fake bids in. I'd be having coffee with like Zach Butters now and building his value.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like
I would even look at it because you get a discount on father sons anyway. They reduced that from a 20% to a 10%, I think.
Yeah.
But like say like Levi Ashcroft last year, I didn't rate him as the number 1 player in the draft, but I would have just bid number 1 anyway.
Yeah. The most disgusting thing I ever heard was when they took Cadman pick 1 and they were like, oh, because we want him to feel special. And he gets like the 20k from NAB. And I'm like, just have a whip round upstairs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll get you a house deposit.
Yeah, everyone chuck in $500.
I was like, blooming heck. Like, because surely that's where the player relationship comes. Like, you say to Cadman, look, like, I remember doing a video of it and someone said to me, if you were Cadman though and you were reluctant to come and they find out that you've bid on 4 players before him. And I was like, well, that's when you have a relationship and you go, look, I want to make everyone weaker. So when you come into this team, we're already a little bit better than them because I've been a dick.
I kind of feel like as well, it also takes the pressure off them, if anything. Like if you've got a good mentality, you're a competitive individual, being, having that second, like whether it's number 1, number 2, like it shouldn't bother you anyway, right?
Yeah. And when you look at the bids, I always say the sweet spot is like being pick 16 because 16, like with the discounts, it literally pisses everyone off before you. So I was like, if I voted a player was in the top 30, I'd be quite happy just being a twat at 16.
100%.
Right,
and like
everyone.
The industry constantly talks about small margins, but then when it comes to the draft, the margins don't matter.
Yeah, I remember having coffee with a list manager who's currently employed, and he said the big problem you've got with that is teams then won't deal with you.
Won't deal with you.
But
what do you mean, though?
My counter to that is the AFL is the most corrupt league in the world when a player goes, right, I'm in South Australia at the minute, but my wife really needs to get to Victoria, but it has to be Richmond.
Yeah. We want to come to Melbourne, but we specifically want to be in the inner east of Melbourne.
Hopefully 2 minutes away from Pont Road, if that's possible. And I was like, and as soon as that happens, can you imagine a club, if you've dicked them in the draft, going, well, we're not trading with Richmond.
Yeah.
They bid on one of our talents, so we don't care about the mental well-being of our footballer. We're going to send him to Geelong to be a dick. They'd have to do a deal with you. So in my mind, if you're successful, you can do that, and players will demand to come to you. Because how often do you see a player publicly come out, demand to come to a club, and not get there?
Or never.
Like, That's why Dan Houston was reluctant to say Carlton, because he knew anything could happen. But I guarantee if Dan Houston did a press conference and spoke to the missus, she was like, if I'm not exactly near Lygon Street.
yeah. I've got to be. Icon Park is really where I want to be.
Collingwood would have pulled out. Everyone would have just said, oh, okay, Carlton, do what you need to do.
Yeah. Are you still disappointed that didn't happen?
No, not really.
You're okay with it?
No, I don't think we would. Like, you only got to see the way we play. I don't think he would have helped massively. No, don't get me wrong, because at the moment, no halfback can kick at Carlton, but I genuinely don't think he would have been an iota of difference unless we had a different style coach.
Fair. We're back here live for the fourth quarter. First centre clearance was won by Willem Dersma, got it forward. We've got a good game on our hands here, though. 9 points the difference. Western Australia.
Good game.
It is a good game. And
Banfield Joel is a father-son for the Eagles.
Yep.
He is. And Curtin. Joel wants to ask some questions about Curtin. How do we see his game? Has he had many contested marks?
He had 3 goals.
He's had 3 goals.
It hasn't been, to be honest, it hasn't been the performance you would maybe expect from a contested marking point of view. Does that there hasn't? I don't know. It feels to me in this game there hasn't been a lot of aerial contests.
One
inside forward fit. Yeah, just sort of like even just to see him go up. I think that was.
Look at that. He's just taken out.
Was that him then?
He's just taken out 6 country boys in
I'm just
one.
like, there hasn't been many aerial contests, and then he comes through and just bashes the pack.
You know what? Every so often I watch Curtin, right, Cody Curtin, and every so often I'm thinking, wow, Phil Thorpe, Darcy in the air. And then he does stuff like that, and I'm thinking Levi Casbolt.
Yeah.
It's like my brain can't judge, is he good or just big?
I totally agree with you. And to sort of answer that question, I think like this has kind of been that performance from him. Like there's been some incredible stuff. I still feel, and it might be just like what you said earlier about he's got that young person, a bit sort of puppy fat. He's not very kind of, I don't know, nimble and bouncy on his feet. Like when you look at some of I still see him personally as a key defender at the top level. So I sort of see him more as like a Wiedering-esque. He doesn't have, at the moment, he doesn't have that same mobility. So I think like he probably needs to go to work on some of his athleticism and just to get that a little bit better, because he looks a bit slow and cumbersome.
You know what he reminds me of, right? Will Gould.
Oh, yeah, Sydney.
Like built like an absolute Trojan. And I remember watching him and not being impressed in his draft year.
Yeah.
Everyone was raving. And I was just thinking, this guy is just bigger than everyone else.
He's bigger than everyone else. It's a problem
like
at
do it
assessing.
Against a man.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Like Onley, he looks like he could do that against men. Like Harvey Langford has proven.
Yeah.
The way he plays, it looks like he wouldn't be physically overawed.
Well, the thing is, if you like having strength it's never a bad thing. So like it's not that he doesn't have the strength, and he can still have that strength against men, but it's not going to give him the same. He's not going to have such a benefit from it, right, at the top level. So it's still there, but if you don't have, there are things, I feel like with Curtin, there are still things missing in his game that won't translate, and it will hold him back if he doesn't fix them.
You know, the one thing that worries me as well with Cody Curtin, and I'm a stickler for this, when they play just about every position.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan. For some reason, that goes for you in the draft, but he's one of them players that I can see what you're saying, being a defender, but then I'd question his ball use. So I kind of want him in the forward line because I don't want him kicking to people. I want him kicking at sticks.
Yeah.
But then, like, now I'm seeing him rotate in the ruck. It's like, he's definitely in the conversation of top 20, but in my opinion...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And this is what I always think is funny when we talk about this. When I do my power rankings and then my mock draft, it's two different things.
Two different things.
Like, because I would not have Cody Curtin in my top 20. If I was a recruiter right now, he wouldn't be in the conversation for a first rounder.
That's fair. Oh, not in the conversation?
No.
Yeah, okay. I think I'd have him in the conversation. Like, it's a difficult one. You talked about the kicking, I totally agree with you on that. But then he does that kick, like in this game from the boundary, where he snaps that goal. Was that Swaddling?
Yeah.
That was a nice... Yeah, Swaddling's so... Oh, here's Farrow.
And tell you what, Farrow...
My boy!
He's back.
Farrow. He's had a pretty good game.
He's you know what? These are the games that, like, when you do, this will be one of them games that when it gets to about July and we start really cranking up the draft content, I'll watch back and suddenly I'll be like, fuck, he was good.
Yeah, exactly. What's he had? He's had 10 disposals. So he hasn't been completely prolific or anything. 2 clearances. But I just feel like he's shown something. Played a little, particularly towards the second half of the game, a bit more midfield as well.
Yeah, I mean, the rotations, got to give credit to WA as well.
Yeah, they've moved things around a little bit.
They shifted the magnets after the half, and Vic Country really have been. What's crazy is they're clinging on.
They are. They don't feel in this game.
Like the first quarter, I thought this was going to be a 20-goal win.
Yep. You're right about Curtin, though. Curtin's has gone into the ruck now. Genuinely.
Yeah, it's not like when I'm looking at this, if I wanted a key forward, he's not in the conversation.
Yeah, well, it's fair too but then I'm watching him there run in a straight line through the middle of the ground, and I'm like he's not slow.
Yeah, I mean, just at this stage, I just feel like his size is what is the
defining characteristic. Yeah,
and here is a guy that we've hyped up, Onley. Look at him.
He's a big, strong
the difference
unit.
there? Onley, he's huge, but I see it.
Yeah.
I can see it translating.
He's powerful as well. I think that always, when you've got more of a defining part of your strength is on speed as well, that always helps you more in this game to be able to close people down as well defensively. I think, again, though, that was pretty much Onley in a nutshell. Goes tearing through the middle of the ground, shows that explosiveness, but then the ball inside 50, great mark.
Big mark, that as well.
Who's that?
Big mark. That was Banfield.
Banfield. He's shown a little bit too, actually. Here we go. This would finish them off, surely. Oh.
Question coming in chat. If you were Carlton, would you trade next year's to get into this year's draft, considering that Cody Walker is the year after?
I don't know if that would change your philosophy. You would have to be having an eye on what you thought you could get in next year's draft as well. I think it would, if you had your eyes, like you said, on a specific player, I think that's when it would come into play. Like if you really liked Josh Lindsay and you thought that he could do something that maybe there's not a player in the 2026 draft, I think that's when you do it potentially. But you'd have to. The problem for Carlton is trying to get into this year's draft, right? Would that be high enough to get a player that you wanted?
I genuinely think, yeah, because say if TDK goes, I'd probably have the conversation of maybe trying to get into the back end before the Harry Dean bid.
Mm.
It would be definitely because I think teams are going to be trading out of this draft. With it being 40% compromise, it's going to be a bit like the Gold Coast draft that they had a couple of years ago, where people devalued picks 15 to 30.
Yeah,
and I'd like to snap in on that and be like, let's get involved.
Get a bit of value.
Let's get involved in this.
So you'd be looking to more come in later, than right up at the top end. Yeah, interesting.
Question from Braden: who's your 3-2-1 in this game?
So, definitely best on ground for me would be Josh Lindsay. Next would be Fred Rodriguez.
I'd agree with that.
And the one, who would I go for the one? Would I go Toby Wan?
He has been very good. I think it has to be. You know what? I've dissed him a little bit, but you know what? Cody Curtin wouldn't be far from my one vote, to be honest.
Yeah.
Limited touches, been supreme.
Totally fair. I'm just having a look at the numbers. I mean, Dersman's had 21, but I don't think he's been in the best handful of players. Only's been good. I don't know if you could have him in the finishing element, where I've looked at midfielders like Rodriguez, who's finished his dinner. That is a great goal. Who kicked that?
That was a big goal as well, that.
I feel like WA... Oh, that was Tarion Amu.
You know what? He's another ruck prospect.
Well, he's the same as Curtin. He's in that Will Gould conversation, that same stratosphere. It's like this big, strong boy and how is it going to translate?
He's got though that the ruck craft, hasn't he? Down pat.
He does. He's more of
like
a
very good tap ruckman.
more ruck dominant than
Joel. That's a great comparison. Lindsay reminds you of Josh Kelly.
Yeah. No,
he does look like a player that GWS used to draft all the time in the mid-noughties.
I think Lindsay is a better ball user than Kelly, but I reckon Kelly's a better like high intensity runner, not necessarily speed, but like death by 1,000 cuts, just keep arriving at the contest.
They were the glory days, Joel, of the off-season content. Like every year, Kelly was linked with a 1.1 million deal to every club.
North were going after him there for a while.
Yeah, he was one of my favourites. Oh, this is a good question from Braden. Would you rather have Grill or Lindsay kick into you? As a key forward.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
But I'd rather Grill as a player.
He'd get there faster with Grill. Here is Charlie Banfield as well, the father-son of the Eagles. You know what, right? This is very Timu, but this is maybe... Is there something worse than Timu? Maybe reject shot? I'm thinking vibes. Oscar Allen.
Oscar Allen? He'd be nowhere near as tall, would he, Banfield?
He's 191, so he's a little bit smaller.
Jeez, I thought he was shorter than... I thought he was like a medium. I thought he was more like 186 or something like that.
You know what made me feel old when I was correlating the WA list as well was Matt Lacra's son.
Yeah, Kobe Lacra.
And I was like, what?
I know. It's like, I feel like that's, yeah.
It always makes me feel old when I see a young man turning pro that I watched his dad.
Yeah, I know.
Because it doesn't really happen in AFL because I'm a new person to it. So I didn't see Sauce play, even though I'm old enough to have seen it. So it genuinely made me feel old. And I was like...
But I feel like Lacra too. Like, I was watching him play like in the mid-2000s, it felt like. Like, he's not old enough to have a son
I felt like...
Getting drafted?
I felt like he'd only retired 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
How old's his kid? 6?
Yeah. At least with like Camporeale, for example, you're like, oh, well, he was back. I watched him play in the 90s, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah, it generally shocked me. I was like, it only feels like yesterday he was running around in a grand final. What are you on about? You mean it's his son?
Yeah, I know.
Legitimate one.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? It does happen. Who would we compare Harry Dean to?
Oh,
you know what? He reminds me. This is crazy talk, but I remember his draft well. He reminds me a lot of Jacob Wheaterin's draft.
Really?
At this stage.
A bit shorter though, isn't he?
Shorter, but his ability to intercept Mark, his ability to use the ball at ground level. Probably sometimes too ostentatious in his attack of the ball versus defending, and that's something that Wheaterin, full credit to him, having worked with Liam Jones. Liam Jones was the aggressive one and he was the subservient one, which made him a better player, which excites me a little bit that Dean can learn.
Well, I think that shows the quality too, because like generally speaking at this age, like you're not going to be a young player and be
well, I think that's the biggest facet of Jacob Wheaterin. Someone that's impressed me. Jacob Wheaterin's done that.
Yeah.
Noah Bolt has done that. Being gone from attacking the ball to I will be the dog's body and do the hard work. Learn my craft.
Learn the defensive.
And then re-earn it.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Oh, good kick from Dersma. It finds Mellor inside 50. If they kick this goal, it puts the pressure on.
Mellor, if he could just tidy up his ability in front of goal.
He can find the footy, can't he? Like he
just gets into these awkward spots.
Yeah. The thing for Mellor for me, I think he's Geelong NGA. So he's attached to a club. But the thing for me with him, it's like, I don't know he must be just a really crafty footballer because he doesn't really have anything about him that you go, okay, like, yeah, he's getting that separation because he's got like great leg speed or something. He just bobs up.
You know, he's got that, like, you know, few players have it, don't they? Like Jack Silvani's one of them players that has it. Jack Darling's another player that I think of. A guy that doesn't have them animalistic traits.
Yes, you can't identify what it is.
But has the genius of football.
Yeah.
It's like I always say, it's like you watch Darling, he's never been quick, never been great in the air, but his ability of just knowing where to be
Yep.
seems to negate everything. Brody Myercheck's case in point.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I watched Myercheck, and his ability just to not be quicker than anyone else, but think faster than everyone else. Can't teach that IQ.
Oh, that was your boy Dean. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm trying to think of a comparison and think about draftees. He's a little bit of a different build to, like, a lot of the prospects last year. O'Farrell and Noah Mraz were a little bit more lean.
Noah.
Yeah. Oh, Hibbins Hargraves.
Tell you what, ever since I gave him,
he's
props,
good, man. He's good.
He's turned into.
He's top 10 for me.
Look at that. Hey, tell you what, that call, I wouldn't mind Noah at Carlton.
That is class.
Look at him. Look at him. That's a footballer.
Genuine upside too. I feel like for Hibbins Hargraves, what position do you think he ultimately becomes?
I know it was crazy. I genuinely see track vibes. So I see.
You said that, didn't you? Yeah.
I see track. I see half forward for the first 2-3 years, working into the midfield, maybe year 2, year 3.
Yep.
But I think already you've seen today his delivery inside 50 is gorgeous, but his ability inside 50 is amazing. He frees himself up.
Yeah, I agree with you in this. I do see him, and that's why I mentioned Toby Green. I see him as that player that he's probably more track height too, isn't he, than Toby Green's like more like 180. So I think Hargraves is 186 centimetres.
Yeah. Onley as well.
Far out. He's got some dynamism. But Hargrave, I see him kind of developing into that more powerful type, like where he does have like that explosiveness off a step. Like he looks very bouncy.
He's got attacking traits as well, which you know what's annoyed me the last couple of years, and I've said this quite a lot in my draft content. Everyone's obsessed with forward pressure. So I feel like
here he is again, by the way.
Yeah, for like 2 years we've had people obsessed with tackle numbers inside 50.
Yep.
And we've kind of lost the sexy small forward. Noah,
like on the ball, you mean? Yeah.
Noah turns me on because it's like the throwback to when Dusty in 2017 won everything. And for the next 2 years, all we had was players like Noah.
Yeah.
Just guys who just didn't care about defending. They cared about impacting. And it feels like the glory years have returned.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing with Hargraves at that...
Oh, look at him. Draft him now.
Like, you can't... That's the thing. The thing that he is showing right now, and I talked about it before, I said, I hope this game is close because you'll get to see which players stand up in the big moments. He's standing up and like he's finishing, he's clutch. That matters. Like, you don't want to just be generating attempts.
Name as well.
Great name. He's got the hyphen in there. The one thing that I've noticed in recent drafts, I go back to 24 with Jasper Alga, who was that medium type forward. I look at Sam Toner in the mid-season draft. So Alga gets drafted but goes very late, like slides a long way from being a top 30 prospect to like back in the 60s or 70s he was. Toner misses out on the mid-season draft. They're that similar type, and I think clubs are slightly moving away from that type of medium forward if they don't think they're someone that can play through the midfield. So I think that's going to be having that midfield capability. I think it will be like necessary for him at some point.
Yeah, and I feel like you know there was a lot of question. Like I remember reading like Sam Toner, people were questioning his defensive prowess at junior level. Like maybe I'm old school, but like I like my defenders to defend, big tackle, and I like my
that wasn't high.
I like my forwards to kick goals.
Let them play
like as the number one facet. Like
yes,
I hate it when I hear like why I like my old school key defenders as well. Like who defend, like when I read, ball using transitional threat, and I'm like, yeah, that's like, great. But
how many goals did his opponent kick?
I mean, that's great. Can Bro spoil? That's all I
get. Can Bro?
Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't want him to kick 60-meter dimes. I want him to actually defend. First.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's good. Good intercept mark there. Is that Curtin who's dropped back? The beast.
Juddy, we've been giving Noah Hibbins Hargraves. If you watch at half time, Juddy, he was the guy that I said I'd love out in a draft, and you know what? That's why. So we'll turn him into a 10 tackler game player. Can't wait for that.
He's got his technical ability and his skill with ball in hand. I think is right in this draft crop. It's better. All the mids that we talk about, Onley and Rodriguez and Sharp and these types of players, he's operating at a higher level than them. So, yes, he doesn't have the position locked down yet, but he's got better skills. I think that's more important.
A textbook throw from Hunter right there as well. No one noticed it.
He's been quiet in this game, Hunter.
Classic George Gregan moment there from him.
This is big. We've got about 5 minutes with no stoppage time. Just run straight through in this game. 3 points to difference. Oh, Victoria in front. I didn't even realise they hit the front. I thought WA was still in front by 3 points.
It's been a great game. Like, honestly, you know what? Credit as well. We talked about could Vic Country's midfield step up, and shout out Riley Onley.
Yeah, no, he's been the dominant one for them.
He has gone full Omega mode.
Who kicked that?
I think.
Was that Rodriguez?
Yeah, I think that was a classic Rodriguez up and under. You know, the one thing that I look at, and you see him there, he's gone totally quiet as baby Shy Bolton, Wes Wally. And I look at Wesley, and I genuinely think what we were saying about how forwards are coached in today's game, I feel like someone's got in his ear and said, to be drafted, you've got to be defensively sound.
Yep.
And like, genuinely, I'm looking at Wes, and I'll pay some other idiot to tackle for him. I want him hanging around the ball. When the ball hits the deck, you're going to have a bit of magic, mate. I don't care if you jog.
Yep, yeah. So like, just make
that
that your primary thought.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes there's way too much onus on being incredibly well-rounded. And you see some teams get into the athlete obsession of, is he aerobically good? Can he run 20 kilometers?
Yep.
Sometimes you've got to be skill-based.
The aerobic one is the one that, like, the high-intensity running trait is like universally loved in the AFL, which I get because of how the game operates.
Kills me, like, do you know what I mean? Like, is the points for steeplechase?
Yeah. It's like everyone wants a blitz halves, which that's the thing. And like, ultimately, the reason that like blitz halves is a good player.
Look at Carpenter's kick. Ugh.
He's got that in his locker, which is really important. But he's been able, like, he's obviously a competitive bastard, and he.
I agree.
Wants to.
I like. Look, the game doesn't remember you running 20Ks.
No.
The game. Look, who do we talk about every week? Your Boltons, your Greens. Yeah. Like, I feel like sometimes you have to take a risk in the draft, punt on a player that has all the skills you lack.
Yeah.
So like if I'm Fremantle at the minute, I'm really looking for, you know who would stand out in this game if I was Fremantle? Probably a Cody Curtin, because I've got Tracy, who is athletic and mobile. Maybe I can bang Curtin there.
Fair in the square. Big, almost mark from Dersma there.
Like, I feel like you've got to target what you don't have.
Yeah.
And over-target it.
Josh Lindsay.
We've been bigging Lindsay up all week for his kick-in.
He's been amazing all game.
Cheers,
I don't think
Josh.
He's missed the target.
Cheers, Josh.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. That's incredible. That was his 29th disposal, his 24th kick.
Maybe he heard that I had him locked for a Carlton pick, so maybe
he's like,
I better knock myself down to about 8 or 9.
Oh, what was that?
What was that? That might be one of the worst kicks I've seen. I've seen a lot of bad kicks.
Wow. There's a lot going on here at the moment. Joel Falconer says that was a stupid play by the WA player. I'm not sure if he was talking about that one, but Hunter Wright's in there. Rodriguez is in there.
There's been a lot of brain farts from both sides.
Yep, unless your name's Noah Hibbins-Hargraves.
Oh, Dean.
What's a goal? Have they paid the goal?
No. Kicking in danger.
Oh, wow.
But Harry Dean, spoil.
Yep. Well done to put himself there. Our stream has just choked. What is... there we go. We're back.
Tell you what, they cannot get it out of their back half the ground. The pressure is immense, and this is huge.
Is it Banfield?
It looks number 6. That's
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly.
Blake Kelly.
Oh, no, Walker. Hudson Walker.
Oh, 10's Kelly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Again, Kelly was 6 last year, and I've still got that in my brain in the recesses somewhere.
To be fair as well, a lot of the WA players have the same haircut.
They do.
Which doesn't help. There's no...
Also, like, coming in, Blake Kelly... Oh, not Blake Kelly. He's got it.
that. They're getting around him as well. That's huge. You know what? In fairness, I hate to say this as well. They deserve to win.
They definitely deserve. They absolutely deserve to win, I feel. That's going to be for country. That is now the last 2 games that they've been involved in. The last one was that Vic Metro. Remember the lead trainer on the siren? The 50-meter penalty, and now they've lost pretty much on the siren again here by 3 points. But I feel like in this particular game, oh no. Talk to me, Pommy. What do you think?
Well, I mean, huge win, and I think it's really a case of the adjustment that the Western Australians made in the midfield. Like, shout out the big boys there, Rodriguez and Wan. They got control in that second, and probably really deserved to win that because they turned that game around. That could have been messy. That first quarter, it had Vic Country blowout written all over it. And
it did.
You know what it makes me feel? Western Australia played as a team. They had cohesion. It feels like Vic Country were relying on their stars, and at moments throughout this first quarter, we had Dersma. Fourth quarter, we had Noah. It feels like they've had to have player moments.
For sure.
I think at Western Australia, they've just done it together.
I sort of wonder how much with these games, like if you look at the first 2 games from this carnival so far, you had probably the highly fancied Allies going in against South Australia. Both the Allies and Vic Country in these 2 games, they're probably squads that don't get together as much. The fact that they're like Country have to get a lot of guys together from all parts of Victoria. Presumably with South Australia and Western Australia, at least a large portion of the group are from the capital, and then they can train there. Obviously, they get together for groups a bit more, and they have looked. Both of those teams have looked like they had a level of cohesion that their opponents didn't have.
Yeah, I think it's probably got some part of it as well, and it's fascinating because, like, you only have to check the stat sheet. The stat sheet, it's country boys all over the place, whichever area you look at, and that just shows the credit. Like, I think recruiters will genuinely be taken aback by Toby Wan, Fred Rodriguez. I think Braden's asking who we think climbers and sliders are. I think they will have massively stood out because when that midfield was under the cosh, they put their hands up and said, I'm going to control this game.
Yeah, I think particularly too, like Rodriguez, he won some... You talk about not just the sheer numbers on the page. You've got Country there who obviously controlled the ball. They probably overused it a little bit too much based on the stat sheet. But yeah, Rodriguez won at times. Like they got their opportunities to have a crack at the sticks. They hit it. Similar to what we talked about with Hibbins Hargraves. To answer that question as far as who rose their stock, I think you're talking definitely Rodriguez as a banker. I think Noah Hibbins Hargraves.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute banker. I mean, I feel like because of his injury earlier in the season, he hasn't played a lot of talent league football. He's kind of got nursed back in. He hasn't had great numbers. He was starting to, for people, just edge back a little bit from that kind of 10 mark into the 20s and that sort of thing. I think I look at his game and I look at the skill set that he has and the potential projection at AFL level. I think he's very bankable as a top 10 prospect now, the way that I see it. So those two jump out. Only's a very polarizing prospect. I think he and Dyson Sharp are really similar areas this season. I think he's had
I like him, you know.
Yeah, I think he's had a great game. I definitely think he still lacks quality on the ball, but his athleticism is really impressive. I just think when you talk about the play, that prototypical player that you're talking about, I think you want someone that's as highly skilled as like a Sam Lawler with the ball, his creativity, the way that he sees the game, and even his background on some level. I think that's the thing that we don't talk about enough as well, like how much football these guys have played. Like Lawler was more of a cricketer. He hadn't done an AFL pre-season, so that's a big part of it as well. Yeah.
It's scary to think how good he could be if he did it. You know who has jumped out on the page for me as well? Mental, but James Peatling 2.0, Sam Swadlin.
Swadder. Yeah, okay. What did you like about the Swadder?
I like the fact that I noticed him for 4 quarters.
Yeah, okay.
Like working really hard. Like I'm not saying a top first round pick, but I genuinely think that recruiters love them hard workers, them grafters.
Yep.
And watching Swadlin, you see, like, I think every club has a Peatling, that type of player. And I think that's maybe not a dynamic inside midfielder. He isn't a great wingman. He isn't a great half forward, but he gets everywhere, gets his hands in first.
Yep.
And I think Swadlin, I reckon if you speak to the WA coach, he will say Swadlin was probably one of the major factors of us getting back in that game because he was a nuisance.
He was, and he was, like you said, like he was all encompassing. What do you think about him from a draft perspective? Like, where could you see him, or how high could he go?
I generally think he'll be inside the 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I wouldn't have him in the first round at this stage. And again, it's another one in that, for me, it's like another one in that group with like a bit, just the kicking skills aren't quite there for like a really high quality mid. I had someone else. I really liked Melody's game off a wing.
Yeah.
I thought he ran up and down consistently, just high intensity running, death by 1,000 cuts. He put the ball inside 50 to advantageous positions. I thought Thomas was really good as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call.
And probably the other one was Farrow, who he didn't have an enormous game. I don't think he was sort of like Fred Rodriguez level impact on the game, but there's definitely some traits to work with. I could see him being a late riser. Who do you think? So if you were to rank WA's prospects off that, who would you be talking about?
I think Fred was by a mile like their best player in the terms of it really, really stood out. I think, in today's draftee world, they are going to be he'll be the first cab off the rank. I think when you look at it as well, I think that the things that stood out there is Cody Curtin. I still ask them questions.
I know. I'm saying.
Like I know he's on he's the second best WA prospect if you look at the consensus board.
And if you were thinking, oh, what's Cody Curtin like? And you didn't have time to watch the stream and you just went into the numbers, you go, oh, I kicked 3 goals, dominated.
Yeah.
Like fair play, but it's not quite that simple. He's so interesting. I think if anything from that, like weirdly from anything, I probably like not a slider in the sense that like he's a big slider, but I'd probably say that it didn't do anything to elevate him for me, that game.
Yeah, I'm still in between. I mean, like for me, I thought the top 2 just from watching this raw game, if I was ranking them, is Toby and Fred. I thought Toby 1 and Fred were brilliant. Swadlin.
It's definitely where they won the game.
Yeah, Swadlin definitely has stood out just because of his work rate. Like, I agree with Joe here. I'd love to see him get a defined on-ball role, just play one role. It felt like Swadlin was the break glass in case of emergency. He went down to the wing when they were getting destroyed there. Did very well, went back around the ball.
He's just such a ball winner, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel like he needs a permanent role. So I think they'll definitely be there. There's some that I want to keep an eye out for, though. Like, I really don't think we saw the best of Oscar Willis. He made a lot of mistakes this game.
Yeah.
But I think there's real high potential there, real high rise there as well. Likes to break lines. And obviously, I think the big talk here is the West Coast boys look very solid as well.
I thought Banfield was really impressive.
Was good. I think Wes Wally showed he's got skills, needs to work on it. But I think you'll definitely, if you were a WA guy, you'd be like, okay, cool. There's something to work with.
Where would you place a Wes Wally? I think
based on that late to rookie, I'll be honest. But I think there's enough traits there. I don't think if I was an opposition guy, I'd be bidding on him.
Yeah, and you know the conversation I was talking about with Hibbins Hargraves, and it wasn't a stick to beat Hibbins Hargraves with, it was just a general conversation about position. He's again that sort of like Wally, he's a small forward, but he's not sort of a genuine small forward in the same way that like say like a Nick Watson is, you know, that sort of prototypical small forward, what you call like a really high goal kicking, high pressure, sort of just super dynamic one that's kind of like at you all the time. He's like sort of that middle ground one. And teams are carrying less of those guys, I suppose. It gives him, on some level, it gives him more upside because he's probably got marking ability and a few different things to like his bow. But if clubs don't think we need that player right now and they don't have a spot on their list for it, I think that'll make him slide. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting there because you kind of wanted more from him.
Yeah.
And it dared to be a good game, didn't it? The first 5 minutes, he was in everything. and then kind of ghosted us.
Yeah, he did. Like he was
Which is
getting a lot of the
shame.
ball, and yeah, like that type of forward will do that. I
But
suppose.
you can see it. You can see it. Like I can watching that. I can see. I could see that. I could see on another day we watch this game again on another day, and he kicks 5, and we're talking, oh my god,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the thing there.
there's a future.
Wes Wally or Hussein? I would say for me, Hussein
Yeah, so far.
in the NGA battle there.
Yeah.
Which I think that's where he's getting at. But yeah,
Essendon winning that NGA battle because Toby was brilliant today as well. He was another guy, Cinema, who he's got something, hasn't he? He works incredibly hard.
he does. He's again, he's that kind of high half forward specialist position, which is good. I think he drops into those sort of like pockets of space around forward 50, and he does have the weapon that he has is his foot skills. He can kick the footy. Again, you mentioned Zach Merritt. I think that was actually a great shout with him.
Zach Merritt 2.0.
Zach Merritt 2.0. I think that's a really good one. I mean, like that's obviously a big call, but he's got some of the similar skills. Mellor, I thought his productivity was actually really good. Like his ball winning inside forward 50, where the spots that he gets to, I've consistently seen him play those sorts of games. In this one, like I've seen him in the past play a game like that and he kicks 5 goals. I don't know what he ended up with this. My iPad's actually gone dead, but I don't think he had the output as far as like on the scoreboard. He wasn't as clinical as he has been.
Yeah, he could have had a lot more, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Like he did seem to have so many marks in front of goal where on another day he could have kicked again 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to look early, first round, first game for them together. Nerves, he's blown the cobwebs off. He's done everything but the goals.
Yes, yeah, which is like it's like the XG thing, right? He's created a lot of XG.
Yeah, and like it feels like it's going to be a big work in progress for him. But on them NGAs, like I always think it's where you buy them, isn't it? Like you look at Cinema, that's probably going to cost them probably a pick to match 55, 60, like a late pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he'll be in that.
That's a huge bargain. Like
massive.
I always think like people asking there, what's Dean's range? Like you look at what Carlton have got, they're probably going to use their later picks to match that. Like, so let's just say they've got 558 points worth now. So if that's going to cost them like a pick 41 to match and then going into debt next year, that's a huge win.
It's a massive win. Yeah.
Like if you can then get a first rounder in as well, huge dub. So I always think that the NGA, when you look at their value, look at what the actual pick value is that you've used to match. Because that's when you look at it, it makes you even more excited.
I know. Then you see exactly what the bargain is.
Yeah, because you look at like the Eagles, they're probably going to get the guys we've seen today for like pick 31 and 49.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is with the picks they'll already have in that draft. If they're the icing on the cake of your 4-pick haul in the top 10 potentially as well, but in top 15, 4 of them picks, like you're laughing, aren't you?
Oh, 100%. I think and like those, you said it before, like to get in, we always look about it with the top end talent, but like it gets kind of overlooked how much depth you get out of those sort of prospects as well. One other that I want to talk about a little bit was Dersma. So what did you think? What did you think of his game? And then what do you think like that means for his draft prospects? Where do you see him?
Yeah, I think the ball use is always going to be a concern with Dersma, isn't it?
It's weird though, like because I feel like his kicking is good. Decision,
it's just
not good.
It's sometimes it feels like you want him to be a little bit more aggressive with that.
Yeah,
like, I'd love to grab him and say, just go hard. Do the dangerous thing.
But it's like, with like aggressiveness of ball use, it's like when to do it, like picking the moment and seeing, because there was a moment in that game at the end there where they were trying to move the ball off the back half and he goes smack bang into the corridor, really highly dangerous kick, but they had a 3-point advantage. And I was thinking,
just go down the wing.
Just go down the line there, like get that to a safer space.
Zach Hardin's marking everything down there. Just kick it to him.
Exactly. Worst case scenario, you probably get a 50-50 contest and the ball just goes out of bounds.
Yeah.
Win.
It definitely the IQ is there, but the talent's there. Like some of them intercept grabs he did was fantastic.
Yeah.
The breaking up play, his hard work, his work rate.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting because I feel like him and Curtin because we know their brothers so well.
I know.
I feel
I
like
know.
there's a little bit of glaze because we like Xavier, we like Zane.
I almost think though I agree, like I 100% agree with you that there is glaze, but there's also anti-glaze in that neither Xavier or Zane Dersma have gone to like superstar level. So we also go, well then Willem's naturally just that. He's going to be a good AFL player and play a role, but he's not going to be a...
I liked his game. I agree with James here. Like I watched this game and I had Fred. I thought Fred and Dersma were on par. In my mind, now watching this, I would much rather have Fred.
Well, yeah. So, this is where I always look at this from a perspective of, I think the Fred Rodriguez type of player will always dominate this junior football more. Like they'll always get better numbers. They'll have more influence consistently. But the thing is with Fred, I'd say when he goes to AFL level, that's when he's potentially going to be a little bit more exposed and he'll have a lot more to work on to get up to that level. Whereas Dersma's got all of the natural, like he's been, like his stature, he's 190. He's got he's so smooth.
He's definitely got the big size. He's got the sexy traits.
Yeah.
I look at Fred though, and I feel like how he controlled that game.
Yeah.
Like that goes a lot for me.
More towards the mentality.
I look at that and think, okay, when it wasn't going your way, you stood out.
Yep.
And when it did, Bayek, you wrestled it back. So that kind of fighting mentality. Like if I was, I look at the Eagles, their midfield that they've got around, I can see it working straight away.
Yeah, for sure. I think he fits in for the Eagles. Probably my biggest question there is with the Eagles, if they have pick 1 and 2, is Fred Rodriguez that good?
I don't think you probably wouldn't pay 2.
No, I don't think you would either.
But I mean, it depends. If he does that 5 more weeks, yes.
Well, he starts to tip you over the edge. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. I think the thing for me that was the most impressive, it was like you said, like the consistency of performance and from a stoppage perspective, being able to implant his game, basically like his will onto that game. And then when he had the moments to finish, the finishing was probably the best, because I know he can win clearance and he can win big clearances, but it's another thing to have the quality to finish those goals, which is probably what impressed me the most overall. And like the second one was 55 off a step.
Well, the thing about Fred is he reminds me, I always say the best draft year I ever saw was Nick Dacos. Right?
Yep.
And I was huge on, there is no comparison to number 2. He is 1.
Yep.
But one thing that turns me on about Nick Dacos in his junior year was how he gave the ball to other people. And when I watch William Dersma, it gives me a Jason Horne-Francis vibe. And I'm not saying it's not, Jason Horne-Francis isn't good, he's brilliant. But it feels like he's playing for himself and his draft stock.
Yep.
Where I watched Fred, it felt like he was bringing his boys with him by doing his job.
Bringing the lads in.
He was like, you know what, I don't care if I win best on ground. I'm here to win a game of football.
Yeah.
And that will pay you back in 5 years' time. Because when Dersma's in the seniors, he ain't going to be Johnny Big Bollocks.
Yeah.
Whichever dressing room he's going to walk into, whether it be North, Richmond, Eagles, they're not going to look at him and go, oh my God, the Sultan has arrived.
No, exactly. You kind of come back to square one when you
head Fred, I feel like Fred would be quite happy going, okay, cool. I'm the 4th best mid here, 5th best mid.
Yeah.
Cool.
Work his way in, graft his way in.
What we're enjoying about Dersma is the sexy things he's doing. He ain't doing that in the AFL.
No, of course not. Like there's a lot more, and also I feel like with the athleticism that he has, he stands out massively at this level. So every time he gets the ball, you go, who's that?
Yeah.
You straight away, you just see him move and you go, okay, but obviously gets into the AFL level and that's going to be less of a weapon as well. It's going to be more just everybody, on some level, everybody's like that. So,
I mean, and it all depends as well what you've got in your midfield. Like if you've got a real strong midfield, Will Dersma's the icing.
Yeah. No, I was actually about to ask the question there with West Coast in the Fred Rodriguez thing. Like you do have to look at what you've got already as well. So, recently drafted, obviously Harley Reid. You've got him. What do you need to complement him? Who's there? Like Elijah Hewitt's there, starting to show some really good form as well. So what types do you need to complement them.
I feel like they do need that Fred type as well, that accumulator, that guy that's...
Yeah.
Every midfield needs a glue, the glue.
Yeah.
And he feels like he would be the glue, dishing dimes, winning the ball, giving it here. Like some clubs draft them 5 or 6 times, but you only need to do it once well. Fred's once well.
Yeah.
Get him in. I've got my sexy players. I've got my hard workers. This guy's going to be... Brayshaw's a great example of it in today's game. I feel like Brayshaw...
Andy Brayshaw.
Yeah, like he's that accumulator, then has gone up another level because when he was accumulating the ball for his guys, they've now risen a level, so he can now be the sexy player as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Brayshaw's definitely that prototypical two-way runner midfielder as well. Like the amount of intercepts he gets an arm in, just runs around all day, kind of sets up play, links things up. The only player that I would say would be more suited to West Coast in that current build with the amount of like physical players that they have in that midfield for the future, you could go like a Josh Lindsay, similar to what we're saying about Carlton, just a bit more.
Be interesting what they do because I feel like people need to attack this draft. Like, something just tells me attack the draft. So it would be interesting if that's, say, Oscar Allen, which would be catastrophic for the Eagles for him to go. But
I don't think it would.
Well, I think it would be at the stage that they haven't got a natural key forward to suddenly replace him.
No, you'd think Waterman could do a job though, and then some of the younger players that they've got.
1 and 2. Suddenly we're talking a different ball game, aren't we?
Yeah, it's absolutely a hit, but like you could make like it depends. Again, it depends on the development of players underneath. You know, like you've got Archer Reed's there, someone that can kind of potentially do that job. Shanahan, who they've just drafted as well. So they've sort of gone after those types of players.
And I feel like 2 is huge.
Yeah, pick 2.
Like pick 2 would be huge that they could trade that because I feel like we know what's going to happen. We've got like what?
Oh, so when you're talking about Rodriguez too, you're saying split 2.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? You could potentially, I reckon, someone because we know what's going to happen. Will Dersma, I've already seen the future. He is this draft's Alex Tyrou. We've all got way too excited by seeing something that really we've seen 100 times, but he could be really good.
Yeah.
So I think there will be a club out there right now who are like, we need Will Dersma.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like last year, I was big on the upside of certain players, but it was players that I thought had better fundamentals. So like Sam Lawler, for example, the high-end talent. He was the risk, but like look at his skills. Like the way that
he's slotting like a night. Like I didn't think in my wildest dreams he'd be as good as he is now.
Yeah, but it's for me that the reason that he can slot in so seamlessly is because he's so nice on the ball. Like that is the one thing that you.
I think that goes against Dersma a bit, doesn't it? Without bagging Dersma, I don't see
his decision making is not as good.
It doesn't feel as clean.
Yeah. He can again though. Dersma can be that clean player when it's on his terms. And I think there's 2 different Dersmas.
I mean, you know what? Call me crazy. I could see him starting life as a halfback.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a bit of get a bit of intercept, even like what Harry Sheasel did.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because you saw he was good aerially. Yeah. When he was in space, he hit targets.
Well, he could be.
So it's building him up there. You could maybe start him at halfback long term.
That's interesting too, because like the player that stands out from last year's draft that is sort of doing that now is Luke Traynor. He's a key position height, but he's really playing more as like a loose distributor. But I actually think Traynor's probably a better ball user. And he's more physical to be able to defend as well. So that's where, like, again, Dersma's more of a with the ball type player, isn't he?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what you do because that attacking halfback role it's probably the easiest role for a draftee to play because it requires what his skill sets are. He seems to enjoy having the ball. He seems to want to impact. You can see that on him.
Yep.
He wants to control the game. My only question mark with some of these kids is when I watch Will, it does feel like I'm watching the Will Dersma show.
Yeah, no, I
I've been
understand what you're
invited
saying.
to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to see, can he... I don't think at this stage of his career he could do what Fred Rodriguez does and go, right, okay.
Bunker down.
Take a back seat. I'm going to bring my team in.
Yep.
The midfield needs to lift because we're getting battered. And he did that. He got them all involved, controlled it. And that would hold me in good stead because if I'm a bottom 4 team,
100%.
Fred's going to be, I need that. in abundance. I
Yeah,
mean, that
exactly.
mentality. You can also see with the goals, once you get good, you can attack as well.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And that's what, as I said with Fred Rodriguez, that's kind of what impressed me the most. So it's interesting. I see in my own rankings, just kind of doing some mathematics in my head right now, I can see on my rankings at least Dersma going into that somewhere between 4 and 10, sliding into that area. I don't think he'd get outside the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we know what the draft's like, though. Will Dersman, no doubt, there'll be someone who ranks him number 2 in that AFL list management. Someone has him 1 or 2. Or at least they'll tell us when they draft him at 6. Oh, we had him number 2 prospects in the country.
Give me your top 5 right now, off the top of your head.
Cooper, definitely. The Ruck.
Yep, same.
2, Annabelle.
I'm Grill.
Oh, you that high with Grill?
Yep.
Grill's probably coming in at 5. 3. I'm going to go Fred.
Fred at
I think
3.
he's that good. I think he's that good.
Wow.
That well-rounded.
Wow.
That well-rounded.
No, I'm not there yet.
4, I'm going to go with you with Sam. You've converted me on fast, dynamic midfielders last draft.
He's a beautiful player. I can't wait to watch him tomorrow. That's going to be awesome.
And 5, I am going to, at this stage, have Xavier. I mean, as Will Dersma.
5.
Just at
so
5.
who'd you have at 4?
I had your boy Grill.
Oh, okay. 4 Grill. 3 was
Fred.
3 was Fred. 2 was Annabelle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would be Cooper. I would be Grill. I would be... I've still got to have Euland in there, I think. I know that he's probably going to slide.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't have him in the top 5 is because for some reason Gold Coast don't get bids in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah, he's such a beautiful user though. Like
It's one of these cheat codes. Evidently we're not even allowed to bid on him. But he would definitely be top 4 caliber. And top 3 maybe.
See, I think then I'm Rory Wright.
Ooh.
And then Josh Lindsay.
Big call. I like it.
Yeah.
Lindsay's definitely in there. I feel like from what I've seen from Fred today, I'm going to give him some love. I'm going to bring him in the top 5.
I just can't wait to watch the game tomorrow as well.
He gives me Murphy Reid. Everyone who watched last year,
Lindsay.
Was hot. No, Fred Rodriguez. That high.
He gives you Murphy Reid vibes.
That high floor player. You know, and everyone knows Pom loves a high floor. Someone that I know. I have to have that guy that I know he's never going to be rubbish.
I feel like for me, Fred Rodriguez is a bit more, has a bit more like dynamic as far as like
different types of players, but I think like consistency wise,
consistency.
Fred, I know I'm going to get that 23 games year 1. Like Murphy, I'm not shocked what I'm seeing. I'm like, I knew he was going to be.
He's a bit more sexy on the ball though, isn't he, Murphy Reid? Like with just
his
kind of
I felt like with Murphy Reid. And it's weird in the AFL draft, you watch it all the time, that you see people always say this, always say, oh, he's just consistent. And that was what they were saying about Murphy Reid last year. It was like it was a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
I remember, I think it was Cal Timmy who said he doesn't have the wow factor of the other mids.
Yeah,
and then it was like, but he's averaged 31 touches and 5 tackles. And I'm like, I'd rather have that because the wow factor usually means he had that game where he got slated.
I feel like all of those mids last year, that was showing the strength of that draft in 2024, was that all of the mids were consistent and they had something as well. So they had a bit of like a point of difference on all of them. Like Jagger had that, super fast feet to get away from stoppage.
Yep.
Reid.
Sid.
Sid had the burst and Lawler had the size and the physicality as well as the skills. Ashcroft was probably one that was maybe in that more just like very generic. I don't know if Ashcroft necessarily has a weapon, but just being very, very comfortable with doing everything. But yeah, it's like you look at some, I don't know, I feel like most prospects this year have have some sort of a problem that a lot of the others didn't have last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I think this draft is very good to attack. If you've made mistakes earlier in drafts and been a little bit too conservative, which you're now regretting.
And now you can go.
So I feel like there's a lot of players here that have got traits. Like I think Essendon would look at this draft and go, this is terrific, right? We've got 5 of the top 10 at NGAs. We can't have them. So no one cares about anyone else. And there's so many players here that we can have a little sniff around and a bit of flirtation.
Yes.
I think Carlton would love this draft. You know who else I think would love this draft and no one's talked about, who I think are in a lot of problems? GWS. I think GWS, list-wise, I think we're starting to see the end of their glamour, and they've recruited a lot of the same style of players, but I think there is a lot of holes. And GWS going into this draft have a very interesting hand that they have piled in on picks that are below 35.
What have they got?
12, 30 and 34 if the ladder finished today. So they've got a first and 2 seconds. And that screams to me that they are going to hit the draft with this pick. I thought last year they targeted something because they did some of the surprises of the draft, didn't they, when we watched that? They were...
Oh, absolutely. They went...
they did GWS things.
They did GWS things. Ollie Hannaford, their first pick. Harry Oliver, their second pick, into Cody Angove, all inside the top 30. All players that... very specific for a very specific need, I would say.
And I feel like GWS, I know if you gave them pick 1, would take Lindsay. Because it's their type of player.
You reckon?
100%. You know what? They have that same type of player, don't they? Like when they get a mid, they get fascinated by ball use and the ability to run.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely that element of not as much necessarily as like the one-dimensional players, like players that can play different positions.
Yeah, they've got like this annoys me as well because Carlton go through this stage like this utility. What does that mean?
The utility, yeah.
Where I come from in England, if you were asked to play football, soccer as you guys call it, and we say what position do you play,
soccer's very.
But if you said, "Oh, I can play in defence, midfield, forward," I'd be like, "Shit, isn't he? He's rubbish.
He's rubbish at everything." Yeah.
Like just tell me what you're good at.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll put you there.
Soccer's definitely got more. It's more position. Like positionally limited in the sense that like you play a position, right? Like you even have a number attached to it that's the position you play, where it's a bit more flexible here.
Yeah, and I just feel like when you look at GWS, they're crying out for... They've got loads of point of difference. I don't think they have the iron-on positions that they need.
I reckon most of their stable, just generic accumulator type midfielders are mostly from the older brigade of recruiting. So they're like Josh Kelly, Callum Ward. They're sort of their generic players. Most of their players, I agree with you in the sense that most of their players are a point of difference at the moment. I guess...
Like you can see Darcy Jones is like this generation's Lockie Whitfield.
Oh.
You know, like Lockie Whitfield started on the wing, moved to half-back, then moved to on ball. I can see Darcy Jones being like the inverse. He'll go forward.
I see him more as a small forward.
Do you know what I mean? But I can see that he's going to be eventually that like high wingman. Good. You can see the aerobic capacity
and the speed
he's added, and the speed. So I can see he's going to be. That's what our Whitfields are now. 10 years ago, they were. Oh, they could run and they could play halfback and midfield.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. He runs 15Ks. This is so cool.
But I like those picks.
No, I like them, but I feel like now they don't have that substance. So apart from Tom Green, I don't see that guy and Harry Himmelberg to an extent, I don't see that list having that 9 out of 10 footballer every week. So this draft, if I was GWS, I'm like, cool, we can get involved here. Like Fred Rodriguez would be fantastic for, I think, GWS.
Yeah, I think he would work.
Him and Green working together, getting it on the outside to your Joneses.
I think the thing is that with them as well, like they've got a few guys coming through in the VFL that they've picked up. Like for example, they picked up Jack Owl last year.
Yeah.
In the 30s. Like he's playing really well, and he's another one where a bit of a bargain in that draft, given what was available. And
they've got it. I just feel like they really need to start looking at that because I think that list will go before you know it. I feel like they've dined out on the Kelly Canelio for a long time.
Yeah,
they're now.
Well, they're all right in the back end of their career, aren't they?
They're like, and you know what? I don't look at Canelio and Whitfield and see Luke Parker, Scott Pendlebury can change their role totally to become a subservient role.
Yeah, I'd say Whitfield. I'd probably put in a bit of a different bracket, but definitely with Kelly, Ward, those kind of guys, and Canelio as well. Definitely, just that sort of
like being able to do that. I'm only having 15 touches this week, and I'm going to be your spot.
Yeah. And then you've got like the kind of the depth players like O'Halloran. He's a struggle, but Yeah, they've sort of done it a different way, GWS. It's an interesting one.
So I think this is a draft. If I was GWS as list manager, I'd say, right, 3 picks, they're in real good positions.
Yeah.
I can change this dynamic.
Absolutely. Should we wrap it up, Pommy?
Let's do it.
Rock and roll. Thanks, everyone, for listening to this stream. I'll be back on tomorrow for the Vic Metro and South Australia. Are you doing that game as well, Pommy? Or
No, I'm playing golf. I'll be playing golf when that's on.
Playing golf. I'm actually teaming up tomorrow with Felix from Everything Essendon. So tune in to the
Felix.
Yeah, Big Felix is down in Melbourne. So doing a debut. Essendon fans, come and check that out. You have the NGA prospects to watch as well. Pommy, as always, thank you for joining me. I had a great time.
It's good fun.
It's always a bit more fun. Last week I did the stream on my own, and it's a bit more fun to do it with someone. So appreciate that, mate.
Hey, mate, anytime. I always enjoy talking the draftees and always enjoy spending time with you as well, man.
It's good fun. And thanks again to everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.